1 2 check Chuffy 1 2. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganji Kid. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. We're in mono. I'm not going to bother messing with the right ear, left ear. I'll tell you what. Oh gosh. Today we've got a bit of a show. Bit of a show. What we're doing today is we're looking at Darksyde Phil. Who's Darksyde Phil? I hear you cry. Well, if you're crying that, then you're going to find out, because the king of hate, the year of hate, gambling $100,000 of donation money into a mobile app game. What? Jerking off on stream. What? It's going to get interesting. There's a couple of things we want to look and react to, and I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of this chap, Darksyde Phil, and for why. I'll tell you for why. He creates a bit of consternation, a bit of conflict, a bit of conversation on the internet. He's a bit of a content catalyst, I've heard it said. And so there's a lot of content about Darksyde Phil. He also makes his own content, of course, Darksyde Phil Game. He's got his own channels. And we're going to be looking at his story. Just, investigating. Just investigating. I should do my sound check, shouldn't I? Should do my sound check. Investigating. Do my sound check. I'm a streamer. I like streaming. I'm enjoying it. Streaming. Doing a bit of streaming. And Darksyde Phil is also a streamer. Big streamer, doing his streaming. So that's what's interested me initially. That's how I've been sucked into the story. And then sucked off into the story. And then I went down the rabbit hole a bit, like everyone else seems to do. And there's lots of content. And I found this really interesting chap called Steve of the Dead. And Steve of the Dead looks at some of the Darksyde Phil content and other stories. And other stories here, look, and talks about psychology. And I really like psychology, and I like Steve. And I think this Darksyde Phil saga is actually a good way to present psychological ideas, conversations, through the prism of looking at a streamer online. I think it's quite a clever, I think it all works, basically. So I'm going to basically hijack that. I'm going to hopefully co-opt some of that. I'm going to hopefully get involved in some of that. What we're going to do is we're going to look at Darksyde Phil today, just on stream here now, live. And the reason I wanted to do it, it's a bit of a random one. It's a Friday. It's not at 2 p.m. GMT. I missed other streams this week. I'll tell you all about what I'm doing this week, just after the introduction. Then we'll get into Darksyde Phil. I'm not expecting loads and loads of viewers. I'm not expecting a big pumping stream. What I'm expecting is just a nice, calm, casual Friday afternoon, look through some of this stuff, so that when we do get Steve on, and when we do a little bit of promotion to say Steve's coming on the stream, we're going to do a good stream, yay, and we're going to talk about psychology and maybe narcissism this week, or maybe video game addiction next week. We're going to be doing some interesting stuff, and someone's going to say, well, who's Darksyde Phil? Why are you talking about this guy Phil? I say, you can refer to our previous broadcast, this one right here now. You can refer to our previous broadcast, this one right here now. Let me just check that I'm public as well on YouTube. I go to my channel. Yep, I'm public live on YouTube. That's cool. So you'll be able to refer to this video, and it'll have all the information that I say, go and check that out. That's why we're doing this today, and that's why Steve himself is not on stream today. I'm trying to prepare the groundwork before I get him on, although I'm a bit of a chuffer myself. I spoke to him about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and I should have had him on this week, but the best laid plans of mice and men afgare, and things always take a lot longer than I thought they would. But I'm hoping to get him on real soon. So that's all in hand. We're listening to the calm, relaxing music from Genshin Impact. And I just want to tell you quickly, next week I'm going away for a couple of days, little Airbnb thing with my family, got myself a laptop, waiting for it to arrive. And when it arrives, I'm going to put all this stuff on it that we used to stream, so I'll be able to stream away from home. We won't have all the cool kit, won't have all my lights and my good microphone and everything, but I'll be able to stream away from home on a laptop. So service won't be completely destroyed. Normal service will resume. That has meant that this last week I've had to choose a laptop on the internet, and god damn it, do I hate it. Like, spending anywhere upwards of £600 on one item for me, like, even though I've done the research and I've looked through it, which takes me a day and a half, so I've been off stream doing times move pretty quick and you need to find out what the latest and... Anyway, not only have I been doing that this week, but I couldn't press the button out to leave it overnight and say, look, it will still be there in the morning. If you really want to buy it tomorrow. And then, tomorrow rolls around and I find out a new piece of information about laptops and everything goes in the bin and I have to start again. Okay, so that's been happening. And then this, oh gosh, this.
Upgrade to newer versions moving forward. This change also breaks the UI for all current plugins.
What do you mean, breaks the UI for all current plugins? I use OBS. What are you on about?
UI for the most part, but those users will still be able to use OBS 27 at least. They just won't be able to upgrade to newer versions moving forward. This change also breaks the UI for all current plugins.
Oh God, should I have upgraded OBS? Because it said just, you know, when you open the computer, OBS wants to be upgraded. I pressed OK, then go on. No, I can't use fucking OBS properly. Set up my Stream Deck last week. Doesn't work. None of it works. My buttons, I had these buttons for close-ups, for all that, set all up. Doesn't work. None of it works. I can tweet that I'm on Twitch, but I'm not even on Twitch. I'm on YouTube, and that button doesn't work. I can't. Oh, I can press that. Okay. I'll press both buttons now, so the Twitter will say I'm on both. How frustrating. Just recently got OBS set up with my Stream Deck, and now I can't use it because they've updated OBS. So that's another thing that I've been spending hours looking at how to update drivers, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just going to have to happen in its own time, in its own way. So that's the introduction. That's why I've been a little bit away this week, and why I feel a little bit hot, stressed, and why next week, even though I'm just having a nice, relaxing, calm, relaxing break in an Airbnb with my family, I'm actually feeling stressed because I want to make sure I've got everything in line, all the, you know, techie stuff sorted. Anyway, stress can go by the wayside. Let's have a look at, not Steve of the Dead today now. I've shown you Steve of the Dead. That's coming up. I like Steve and his attitude. So, you know, I think we'll make a good stream together talking about things. I've just got to get it set up and sorted, and this is part of it. Laying the ground, talking about Darksyde Phil. So, we can either watch Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a 5-year-old video, but I thought we'd start with these ones, the more recent Decepticon King of Hate documentaries, which recently Phil himself watched his own Down the Rabbit Hole on his stream and reacted to it, and he said a lot of it was bullshit. So, you know, maybe that's not the best one to start on. So maybe these other ones, these more recent ones are. I will say, I will temper this. I actually do want to, you know, make sure I put a bit of a no playlists. Are you nuts? I just literally saw the playlist a minute ago. Okay. I thought I literally saw the King of Hate playlist a minute ago. Anyway, no, I did. I actually did. I was on the computer and I actually did. No playlists. That's weird. Anyway, the point is that it's possible that Phil himself, a lot of this content is made up of Phil's content, isn't it? A lot of this content is, firstly, the raw material is Phil on his stream, and then what people have done is they've watched it, they've looked at it, and they've said, I didn't like what Phil did on his stream there, excuse me, I've got my headphone wire tangled around my leg. Today's a Friday, but it feels like a Monday to me. Everything seems to be, you know, it's one of those days where everything's going wrong, and thank God the laptop's not being delivered today. Hopefully it'll be delivered tomorrow. But, you know, it feels like everything's going wrong for me today. Feel a bit boned up in my nose. Maybe I've caught the COVID. Who knows? You never know these days, do you? Anyway, these videos are made up of content that is originally Phil. It's originally his raw content. It's been turned into a documentary style video by somebody with their opinions and commentary. And so I'll proceed this by saying it might not all be exactly bang on. It might be quite, but it might not all be exactly bang on. And the other thing that I want to proceed it by saying is that in today's episode is I want to get everything that other people have put up on the internet that we want to look at done on one episode, so that if Phil strikes it with copyright strikes, or if, you know, if there's some issue with any of it, then we can just say, right, that video, delete, gone, thanks. I'm not trying to make an endless... I'm not trying to make an endless slew of content about one person specifically. I'm not trying to bully Phil. I'm not trying to override copyright. You know, I'm not trying to infringe copyright or anything like that. So I want to make sure that I do all those things that I find on the borderline. They're not on the borderline. This is fair use. We're going to be reacting to and talking about content, so it's fair use. But if anything, you know, YouTube, you can write a copyright strike before I have to fight the fair use argument, can't you? So I just want to make sure we've done it all in one episode, and that way, if anything goes wrong with it, I can bin it off. And we don't have to bin off the channel entire. So that's why we're doing all of this today now. Let's get into it then. Like I said, we'll look at the Down the Rabbit Hole maybe in the future. We might have a look at Phil looking at his own Down the Rabbit Hole. Those things take hours. And this might take hours, you know what I'm like. Certainly part 3 is a 2-hour part, so we might not watch all of it, but let's get into it. Let's see the origins of Darksyde Phil. Let's find out who is the chuffer, and, you know, why is the chuffer, and why are we looking into this.
No money.
How did he catch my eye? I should start with as well, which is simply the case that when he jerked off on stream, you know, I don't want to spoil what's coming up, but how did he catch my eye? When he jerked off on stream, I heard about him, like everyone else on the internet. So that's how he caught my eye. But let's see what's going down in the world of this clown. I shouldn't say rude things. I'm not going to say this clown. It rhymed. That's what I wanted to say. But I'm not going to say rude things about him. I'm going to try and refrain from that. He's a human being, although he does some things that I find quite abhorrent, and we'll cover them when he does.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Phil Burnell, aka Darksyde Phil here. Fuck off, you're gone, don't come back. Where am I playing? You still haven't told me! Well, because DSP did well, it's bullshit.
So I got the cert.
Take this, bitch! None of the other shit that's said about me has been true. They're rich, I'm not.
Because Kojima's a fucking cocksucker.
Thanks for the money, stupid fuck. Why am I toxic?
Origins.
The King of Hate, DSP, Darksyde Phil, Philip Bonnell, all names for the same person, a Let's Player that rose to prominence in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Now, he struggles to maintain any relevance on the internet and streaming community. I will be documenting his story from his origins to the present through a series of videos. Some of the earliest sightings of Darksyde Phil would be on Shoryuken Forums, a fighting game community website dedicated to discussing Street Fighter and other fighting games.
So we're starting off with the dudes on, originally posted by Darksyde Phil. Question: why are you so? I suppose it's difficult. This is back then, right, in the early 2000s. I mean, I remember I was alive at the time, and I certainly wasn't playing Street Fighter 2. I played Street Fighter 2 on my Super Nintendo when I was a younger kid, when I was on my way up. But then I got a GameCube. I got an N64, and that was before 2000s. Then it was GameCube. Then it was probably the Wii was out. Was it? Nintendo Systems by release date. We're talking Nintendo 64 was 96, yeah. So I stopped playing Street Fighter. I mean, I played a fuck lot of Street Fighter 2 in the 90s, but I stopped playing Street Fighter 2 in 96 when I got my next system, my N64, and then GameCube came out in 2001. So Wii was a little bit later. So this early start of his story is predominantly based around this early phase of. I have to have some background music. Sorry, don't worry about background noise. It's fine. So we're talking about GameCube turning into the Wii. You know, we're talking about the early 2000s. I'd grown out of my teenage sitting at home on my computer game phase and grown into my teenage sitting at a garage with my mates smoking weed and playing computer games phase. And we were playing a lot of GoldenEye at the time. We were playing a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I think, at the time. And as I went on from, I didn't have a GameCube, my mate did, but I went to university at that time, so I missed sort of the times where we sit around together and play in the garage. And then the Wii, 2006, Nintendo went off the boil a bit, didn't it? And we sort of were all in the PlayStation generation. And then we get a bit up to modern times. We're now at modern times and we're back where we are. So returning to the beauty of the Switch. But that's my feeling on that time. So I remember that era quite well. I remember the Millennium. And on the Millennium, I was listening to 2001 Dr. Dre. I was smoking fat blunts, and I was probably pretty high as well, and having a massive house party. Well, it wasn't a massive house party. We had a quiet one, actually. We turned it into just a close mates in case the world blew up house party. But we were pretty high, and I was into going to raves and getting wrecked and drinking and smoking. And, I'd grown out of my sort of early... Hang on just a sec. Grown out of my earlier video game. I mean, it's a weird thing to say. Grown out of is a funny word because I don't believe in that these days, But at that time, video games were directly aimed at a sort of younger audience, and the PlayStation brought it up to a sort of teenage, young adult audience. It was changing, but there was this feeling in the world that at the time, in general, I'm saying in general, there's a feeling in the world at the time that you sort of, you played video games as a kid and then you grew out of them when you started to get into the real world and grow up. And that was actually specifically said to me. It was like told to me by my adult, peers, you should stop playing so many computer games and grow up. So I remember that era, and what I did in terms of growing up was to smoke more weed, go to fewer lessons at college, and be a bit naughty. But at that time, what you've got to remember as well, we're talking GameCube, N64, the esports by esports development timeline, right? There was not this. It wasn't the same. Like computer gaming and stuff wasn't really the same as it is now, and so the open image, new tab. No, tiny images. Who puts tiny images on the internet these days? Tools, size, large. Please, just please give me a large. That's the same one, isn't it? No, okay, there you go. So, like, we're talking about the early 90s here. Like, the Cyber Athlete Professional League. You don't recognise that, do you? Because it fucking failed, didn't it? Nintendo World Championships. They still do those. Does it matter to anyone? Like, Nintendo Power Fest. So, big Nintendo thing. DreamHack Sweden. I've heard the name. We don't... These sort of things in the early 2000s that were getting going, they're not... there was this idea that it might be that computer gaming, professional gaming taking off, and it was seen when you're a kid that you might be like, oh, I could be a professional gamer, I could be like, a computer, but then adults weren't really doing it, but then some were, and it was like nascent stages and taking off, and there was this idea that Nintendo computer games, you might be able to do it professionally, but it wasn't set in stone. Like, you weren't, the industry wasn't ready. There wasn't that set of prize money. To do something professionally, you need to get paid weekly. There weren't teams, there weren't sponsors in the same way as we have today. So you see the esports thing like StarCraft Pro League and Halo Championships, 2010s there. That's when it starts to really become what I would call, a more polished scene. But before then, it was much more fragmented. The ideas were there, like we want to make a professional computer games scene, but the scene hadn't developed in the same way as we recognise it then. Some of these things that were out and going then just binned off entirely, completely gone, failed. So I remember that time and looking at someone, because we're going back to the King of Hate here, in the professional Street Fighter 2 or the competitive Street Fighter 2 community. At that time, in those at the turn of millennium, Street Fighter 2 community, I just put 2000. I mean, I probably won't get anything specific here. I just want an image of like the sort of controllers and the setup and how they were all at the venue. Probably go for Neo, not Evo, isn't it? Probably just go for Evo 2000. No. See how Evo doesn't come up with the competition. It comes up with the car. Street Fighter 2 Evo 2000, and it's all there's not any pictures of the actual event even. You know what I'm saying? It's still coming up with pictures of the fucking car. Like, see how it's not even popular on the internet? The people that are into it will know what I'm talking about, but the people who are not, the rest of the world, this is like a really niche little, still going. Some people are still playing on Street Fighter 2 boxes. Evo has become a bit bigger. I don't think it was like that in the year 2000. I don't think it was big screens and finals table. I think it was a little bit different. But Evo is the fighting championship tournament, so it still happens and it's still going, and there is still a wider audience now, not such a small niche, because you've now got Smash and other games as well. But back then, it was a smaller niche. It was what people aspired to if they wanted to become a professional computer game player.
I couldn't be happier.
I don't have to wave my arms. Thank you for the tippy sniffies. I've just realised I'm spending ages trying to explain the outlay of early 2000s computer gaming, and I don't really need to. Speaking of getting paid weekly, have a tippy. Thank you. This is not the stream. Oh, thank you. That's loads. Thank you. That is loads. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to... Steve's not on this particular stream, but hopefully we're going to get him on. And next week I've got to go away to this thing, so everything's... I'm feeling kind of under pressure, and it's not real pressure. I'm just applying pressure to myself psychologically in the back of my mind subconsciously. So I apologise to Steve directly and to anyone not quite up to speed yet, but it's coming. That's why we're doing this. So anyway, I'd better get on with it, for Christ's sake, hadn't I? You see what I'm saying though? At this time, if you were a professional Street Fighter 2 player and you were in your early 20s, like, you're coming into a world of adulthood, and no offense to any gamers, obviously I'm here as a streamer wearing my Fortnite, wearing my Fallout, I can't even get my words straight. Like, I'm just saying, back then it wasn't seen as a big career move. It was seen as not quite growing up, and the people that were in it, like, it's like being a surfer or a skateboarder. Do you know what I mean? It was cool, and the younger kids, not like me at that point. When I was younger, I aspired to, and now I'm in my now I was like, I don't know exactly how old I was. Let's say I'm in my later teens. I'm out there being a bit naughty. I'm not playing Street Fighter 2, but so this, whatever it was itself, and it's got a scene, and within the scene they think they're pretty cool and hip, because I think, you know, if you're the skateboarder kid or the surfer kid or the professional Street Fighter kid in your little crew, then when you're about 17 or 18, that looks pretty fucking cool, doesn't it? Like, when you're like 14, all the 14-year-olds think you're really fucking cool. But as you get to like 20, 21, 22, maybe some of your peers are doing different things in life, and they might, like, no, I'm not saying you should look down on professional gaming, certainly not in today's day and age, but then it might be like, are you still playing Street? They probably wouldn't even understood that you had your own special joystick and you went to a special tournament and it was big news, big for what it was. So at least I've set the groundwork for this 2000s gaming scene. I hope you understand. If anyone's got any questions, you know, leave them in chat.
He would be known for his controversial opinions and aggressiveness, and due to this, the fighting game community generally disliked him, and he gained a following of haters.
So he gained a following of haters in the fighting game community. This is where I am actually going to do this. I'm actually going to go and have a look at the other video as well, because I think it helps. It's funny, isn't it? If you type Darksyde Phil, the rabbit hole comes up first.
Having these tools have really helped.
Oops. The old Grammarly advert there, in case you didn't bother learning to spell at school. So this down the rabbit hole.
Searching for him on YouTube, however, brings up far more in credit card loans to attend the Evolution Championship, argumentative disposition, and poor conduct.
It actually has some footage that...
DSP, stop recording. No one gets a shit. Play. You can't hold up a tournament.
Of Phil rowing with people at a tournament. Apparently this tournament was much later than the time that they're referring to here, so it doesn't count. There's a good pitch though. We're talking about, you know, older than teenagers, what I'd call grown men, but, you know, still young adults, and they're doing what they think is fucking cool at the time, which is playing computer games professionally. And at the time, maybe 2 years before this, I'd have said that is fucking cool. Give it 2 years, I'd have said that's not fucking cool. You should be at a rave, or you should be like playing a guitar in a band, or like, you know, there was a point in young adulthood where being a skateboarder or a computer game player gave way to having sex with girls and, you know, smoking weed. Maybe it's the same here. Maybe it's the same. There's a bit of a crossover. I'm not dissing it. I'm saying this was the time, this was the place, and there he is. That's our boy Phil. He's on the competitive Street Fighter scene, and that makes him a pretty big cheese among the kids of his area playing computer games, doesn't it? It does. Back then, it makes him a pretty fucking big cheese, even just to be on the scene, to have your own joystick, to turn up at the events, to be on the computer, to be people watching you, to be, you know, competitive on the Street Fighter scene. Like, that's pretty cool amongst the niche of the time.
Fighting game competitor. Though he would commonly compete in local tournaments, he struggled to place and earned himself the title of the King of Hate.
So I've watched these things before, so I'm going to just go over a couple of things quickly without, you know, listening to them exactly. But this thing about the King of Hate, like, you know, they're dissing him for not placing. I think you do well just to get in the tournaments. I remember playing Street Fighter 2 as a kid and how tough it was. You know, you've got to be good to get in the tournaments. In America, you've got to be good in your area, and then you go to the next level up. So maybe, you know, your area's not the strongest area. I don't fucking know. But I think you've got to be good to go to the tournaments. The King of Hate thing is this whole, like, sledging. I don't know if you've heard of this concept. I'm bringing up a completely... I'm trying to contextualise things the way I contextualise them, so just leave me to it. Sledging in cricket. Like, this is what used to go on in cricket. This is just a different example of a similar thing.
It'll be a fascinating evening when the Australians do bat.
Simons. Well fielded.
Oh, you fucking bastard.
Oh, dear, oh dear. That's 2 for 215.
Best of stump mic. So you got the stump mic there. You got the stump mic, and it picks up these voices.
It's gone again.
Like where they're playing cricket, you can hear them now.
It's going to be a good chase, but he'll make it all right. 4 more. Oh, he loves the battle. He's a street fighter, isn't he?
I should have had this prepared.
21 bowls, 7 for 400.
A better result is another boundary if he can get it. Not happy, Mitchell Johnson. Not happy. Oh, hello. Hello, hello.
Oh, we're not going to hear it. Okay, so they used to have microphones on the cricket stumps. If you search YouTube enough, you will find it, but I'm not. I should have had it lined up. Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Afternoon. Today's a bit of a different episode. I'm telling you the story of a dude called Darksyde Phil, who has got a bit of a storied history on YouTube. He jerked off on stream. How about that? So we're going to get to that at some point. And somehow my brain is just taking us around sledging and cricket. But sledging and cricket we found out about it because of Stump Mike. So what they were doing was you play cricket and it's a gentleman's game and you're, professional sports people. But what's actually happening is the bloke that sat behind the wickets, like the catcher in baseball, is actually whispering and shouting at the guy who's striking and saying, oh, you're a fucking shit, you're shit. And giving each other shit. They called it sledging. It's quite common in sports, isn't it? But sportsmanlike conduct in most sports, I used to do sword fighting, fencing, and if I'd given my opponent any shit, then I'd have been reprimanded, yellow card. You're not allowed to give people shit, unsportsmanlike conduct. Out you go. And so they had microphones on the stumps, and it was a big thing, I think, in the early 2000s, because the new microphones caught all of them doing the sledging. Saying the words, and then they would been proved that they were doing it. So Stump Mike used to catch them out. It's very similar, I imagine, and I don't know because I'm not at the fucking Street Fighter 2 tournaments, but I imagine it's fairly similar in Street Fighter 2 tournaments where you're young lads, you're all sat around together. Back in the day, we used to, and I will admit this because this is part of the criticism of the King of Hate here, Darksyde Phil, why are you so gay? Why do you make 47 threads a day on SRK and ask why it's flooded with bullshit? Like, he's calling someone gay. It's a slur, and it's inappropriate and unacceptable in today's day and age. And it seems silly to me, as someone from today's day and age, to say when I were a lad. But honestly, when I was like 14, everyone used the term gay as a derogatory term about each other. Oh, you're gay. Oh, that's so gay. Like, it happened. It was common. I went to a boys' school, so maybe it was more common there. I don't know, but it seemed like it was common amongst society. And over like the last 10, 15 years, we've changed that. It's not common anymore to be like, we didn't have, on the turn of millennium, I didn't have a Facebook and a Twitter. Like, on the turn of the millennium, when Darksyde Phil's doing these Street Fighter 2 tournaments, we're not on Twitter and we're not posting things, and it's not getting judged against the internet rules or anything like that. You're just calling each other gay in the street. Like, it's just how it was, yeah? So I accept that. I put my hands up and say I used to do the same thing as like a 14-year-old. As I grew up, I stopped doing it because I saw, not just the way the world had changed or was changing, or, I understood the world more and, changed the way I behave. You did the same in America, and I'll tell you another one, the N-word. The N-word. I never used the N-word, me personally. A number of reasons. One is I just, I grew up in a culture where it was shown to be fucking horrific racism. But another one, I didn't hang around in communities that, we did listen to a lot of hip hop. We did, we were listening to Dr. Dre on the Millennium. But we didn't call each other by the hip hop, N-word, because we're not in that community in the UK. I'm not on the East Coast, West Coast rap scene. And there's not a whole community of, now in London, there are communities, and probably back when I was hanging out, there were, but I wasn't in them, of more predominantly black people who were using the word, repurposing the word. That's a different conversation, isn't it? But the N-word is just like that. Back then, Darksyde Phil, I'm not going to critique him for using the N-word, for being like his peers, for being a early adult, growing pains. In this fighting game scene, you can imagine it's a bit of a boys' club, isn't it? And they're going to be calling each other all the names and ragging on each other and giving each other shit. There's a bit of that, isn't there? Because you're fighting each other on the computer games. And East Coast, West Coast, my area, your area, teams, groups. You know, that's going to come into it. You didn't use the N-word. No, I wouldn't have imagined you did. But, like, if you're into this, like, look at this picture even. Just, like, all the caps. You know, all the baggy clothes, the 90s. Like, all of the Snoop Dogs. And I've seen a lot of white people on the internet from those areas, from these cultures, using that word. And Asmongold's another example. He's from Texas, he's white, but he said he had loads of black friends. They used the word all the time at school. He used it at school as well. They didn't kick off because it was just the way they referred to each other in their peer group. But they stopped using it because they started being internet people, and like, fucking hell, you can't be saying that. Not everyone in the world understands. Small social peer group, okay. You know, small social peer group, the colloquial language of a small social peer group, it not being a racist slur, but a way to refer to your friends in rap terminology. Okay, you know, I'm okay with it. I don't do it myself, but I don't go around trying to regulate it. So Darksyde Phil is from there. Now, I also think he might have got a bit of shit himself, that some people might have been a bit, you know, you sometimes have difficulty in life dealing with a bit of shit, don't you? And some people are a bit more popular than others, whatever. Like, sometimes, and I remember this as a young kid as well, I remember hanging out with slightly older kids who would give me a bit of shit, like not in a nasty way, but in a sort of, you know, boyish way. I remember on one foreign trip, one of the lads got put in a bin. We were in Germany on this fencing trip, and not me, but one of the other lads got put in a bin, and he was kicking off, and like, you know, we had all this trouble over it. It's that sort of shit, you know, lads being lads. If you have been put in the bin, you don't like it, but then when you get a bit older, you put someone else in the bin. Do you know what I mean? Rites of passage. It just, you turn into a bully if you're not careful. I never put anyone in a bin, although I did hold someone down while someone else shaved his eyebrow off once. You know, I'm only admitting that now. You know, rites of passage. I had my own eyebrows shaved off once as well. Rites of passage. You got to be careful though, you don't turn it, like, you feel so bitter inside that then when you get your chance, you don't, right, fuck you, then I'm going to spit this out on everyone else, this is how it's done. You know, I felt really bad when I was a bit younger, so now I'm going to make the other youngins feel bad. You got to be careful of that. I don't think Phil was that careful. In fact, I think some people get a bit confused and say, right, well, this is how everyone behaves, this is how everyone's giving me shit, it's just appropriate for me to give everyone shit and no one will care. Like, he actually took it on, and we'll see now, the king of hate. He became, this is why this documentary is called The King of Hate. He decided, if everyone's giving everyone shit in these communities, I'm going to give everyone the most shit. I'm going to be the king of hate. You know, haters want to hate, I'll hate you back. Do you know what I mean? I can actually understand his reasoning. I can understand the psychology to a certain degree, and this is where I want to get Steve of the Dead on. This is one of these things that I don't want to do. I want to cover the history of Phil now and get at my questions, and if you've got questions, we'll get them together, and then when Steve comes on, we'll say, so what do you think about this? Because I don't know about this. This is one big question: how you turn into a hateful person, even if you're using it as a defense mechanic, or, you know, defense shield, or a personality trait, or like a, you know, sort of comedic trope. I mean, I've got a couple of mates, and every time they get together, they'll put their heads together and go, oh, you starting on me, you fucking starting on me, right, you fucking starting. If you didn't know them, you'd think a fight was about to kick off, but it's not. It's just that's the way they sort of, you know, egg each other on, and they have a laugh at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? But like, so if you didn't know, you might think it was for real. I think for real, Phil's not really a king of hate, but he's in an environment where there's a lot of this going round, so he's sort of reflected back, or taken on board some of this aspect of it, and, you know, rolled with it. I think if enough people start to bully you, you start to go, right, fuck you, then I'll either be a bully or I'll revel in the bullying. Like, if you're going to call me this, I'll say I am this, I'm even bigger than that. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's an element of that. I don't think he's happy about the initial hate, but that's how he gets into it anyway. Let's continue with the documentaries and see how we roll.
And due to this, the fighting game community generally disliked him, and he gained a following of haters.
So he gained a following of haters. So it's like, do you remember Chris Eubank? I don't know if you remember this. There's a lot of these figures in the world. Chris Eubank Senior, Nigel Benn signing contract. So when Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Senior fought in the 80s, this would have been now, I think, there were two different characters. One was, this is in the UK, one was an ex-military, and One was an ex-military, rough and ready, you know, genuine type of guy, Nigel Benn, who very tough and was in tough fights and, you know, tough guy. And the other one was also actually not from an affluent background or anything like that. It was a very tough background Chris Eubank had, but he presented himself as a gentleman and as being a bit aloof and a bit scholarly, and he claimed he was the best, simply the best, and no one could be like. There was this conflict of personalities, and they signed this contract together on the telly.
You are mine, you belong to me. I am the... Coming his way. It was a good knockdown. I've no idea how...
And so, you know, he did all this posing Chris Eubank used to do. He used to walk in the ring and pose and like knock people down and pose, and everyone hated him and they wanted to see him get beat. But he had a big following of people that hated him and wanted to see him get beat. He was the king of hate in this context.
Good the Brazilian champion was. Well, 20 seconds is not an all-time record, but it's close enough.
This is why I shall take you out on the night of the 18th of November. You are mine, you belong to me. I am the man.
Nigel Benny's talking to you.
Tend to face me. The thing about him, he's all hype. He's all hype, you know, and I can't wait to November the 18th to give him a good hiding. You know, he went out there, he done a job on a guy. Who was it? Another Sanchez, Gomez, Lopez, who was it? Another road sweeper? Hey, I've done that before. Now I'm with the big boys.
I will show that I have what it takes. This man is nothing but, he's the real hype. I come up the hard way. I didn't
prove myself, boy.
You had your time. Let's have some parliamentary procedure here, all right?
Let's have some parliamentary procedure here, right? He used to wear a monocle. And like saying things like that, he knew that trying to pretend to be a bit posh would wind up Nigel Benn, who's real and from the street. He fucking wind him up, and he wind up everyone. Like the average common person who was watching the boxing wouldn't enjoy Chris Eubank's personality, but they'd want to watch him. You know, you need these characters, don't you? You don't just have Hulk Hogan, you've also got to have, who was it? It was the Iron Sheik, wasn't it, back in the WWE days, WWF days? You know, you need a baddie, you need a pantomime villain. And Chris played that role really well, and to his, you know, to the benefit of his career, he got in lots of... He was also on the popular... He wasn't the popular person, but he was in the popular fights. He was earning big money. You know, he was a personality in that aspect. So I think the King of Hate makes sense in this context, doesn't it? You know, you're developing a brand of some sort. If everyone's going to hate on you, you turn it around and you use it to your advantage. So I think initially, Phil was probably just in amongst this circle of people with a bit of banter going back and forth, but he was a bit too sensitive and he didn't know how to integrate properly, so he turned it, you know, whereas some people have friendly jokes, you know when it's a friendly joke and then someone says something that's a bit extreme and you think, oh, hang on, mate, we're all having a bit of banter here, but you've gone a bit far. Like, I think that's where he's coming from. So
ultimately, his actions on the forums would culminate at a Street Fighter II tournament. EVO is a national fighting game tournament, which Darksyde Phil would attend in 2002. DSP would not accomplish anything of note at this tournament, but he would be confronted by another fighting game community member, Jaha. Jaha would later recount his encounter with Darksyde Phil, providing some details on what happened.
The reason we fucking had to run him down, and this happened fucking twice, is because the guy likes to talk a lot of shit on the internet. And the fucking beauty of the fighting game community is that, you know, you can hide behind a fucking screen and talk shit, just like how we have these internet trolls. But with Street Fighter, you have to show up physically to the fucking tournament.
Exactly.
Leaving with like him and a couple of his boys, it was that's when it was time to like roll up on him. We followed them outside and we caught him outside. So
they actually revel in this, but I think this is actually, I'm on the side of Phil here. Even though you talk a lot of shit on the internet, you know, even though you do, I don't think it's acceptable to instigate physical violence with the fella. I don't think that's acceptable. The whole point of the fighting community is that you fight with characters on screens, you fight on Street Fighter 2, and the whole point of the shit and the sledging and all that isn't just, you know, it's psychological warfare, isn't it? You know, it's trying to set you on edge, it's trying to get you on edge. Like the boxers do it before they have a fight, but they don't actually fight in the studio. You know, no one has to...
I didn't come up the easy way.
No one has to have a fight in the studio, they save it for the match. It's all part of the hype. So for Phil, I think that's where he's coming from. I don't think he actually wants to have a fist fight with anyone, but these people have got so wound up now, you know, so annoyed with his constant trolling, you know, back then I don't think you even called it trolling, but sledging, belligerence, whatever, they've decided to run him down outside and make him apologise.
And I'm there with my freaking JVC kaboom box and shit, 'cause that's how I rolled and stuff. And I was with a couple of my fucking boys, and they were getting up in, like, you know, DSP's fucking friends' faces too, just to fucking make sure none of them got crazy. But they were all fucking shitting bricks. Fucking getting up in his face, asking why the fuck he's talking shit, and what the fuck's his problem, and he's fucking just, you know, just fucking cowering and all fucking.
So I actually think that's bad. You know, I think that's bad.
Pretty much, to make a long story short, I pretty much just fucking told him, hey, you fucking lost one match, you're gonna fucking pay him fucking $10 or fucking $20, because that's the percentage of fucking.
But you can see there, he's got the T-shirt. Hate this. You know, he's playing that. He's playing up to that position. He's not necessarily in these early days. He's not popular, but he's on the scene. He's competitive. I don't think anyone could argue with that. And he's not popular because of his behaviour, his personality, and he's trying to turn that position because he's on the stage. You know, Evo is this big thing. He's on the stage. He's trying to create this brand, isn't he? So, you know, that's Darksyde Phil at this time. That's where we're at. And then they have these arguments among the, you know, the fighting community, which I don't really want to alight on too much.
Thank you. Check out the shirt. Hate this, bitch. Hate that.
In 2003, Darksyde Phil would create his own website called Top Haters, where he would write long editorials similar to what he did on Shoryuken forums, such as "Why Counter-Strike and Warcraft 3 suck, you are all mindless." It would have its own forum section where his fans and haters could come and comment, discuss.
Whoa. I just had a reconnect on OBS, and I'm plugged in at the fucking wall. So I don't know how that happens. Good old OBS.
Less than a year later, the website would shut down. He would leave a departing message saying, "In truth, you're not going to see DSP, or Phil Bonnell, the King of Hate, or Darksyde Phil, or Will Moses, or the guy who got punked by Jaha, or Monkey Spank, or anything else at East Coast Championship. I'm hungry. Hungrier than ever before, and at East Coast Championship, I'm going to fuck you up."
It's almost like wrestling, isn't it? It's almost like wrestling. It's like, back then wrestling was really popular, and it's almost like he's playing this role of like this wrestler, isn't it? The King of Hate. He's on there telling everyone he's going to fuck them up, see you at the championships.
I wouldn't know a better way to say goodbye. DSP. Nothing else notable would happen in 2004, but in 2005, Darksyde Phil decided to attend the 2005 EVO Championship. Darksyde Phil would be playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but this year's version of the game would be controversial because EVO Championship would be using the PlayStation conversion of the game.
Right, I'm gonna give you a quick overview of this. They used a different version of the game for this championship, so most of the players decided not to bother. They just thought, fuck this. If we're not using the right game, I'm not going. So Phil did go, and he worked hard. To be fair, again, you know, you don't win the competitions if you don't work hard. So the American team said, fuck this, we're not bothering with this one, we're skipping it. Phil, on the other hand, turned up, and he did quite well. He placed top American. He didn't win the competition. The Japanese players beat him, basically. But, you know.
So he could be one of the top players with this new version of the game. He would max out his credit cards to attend this 2005 tournament. It was a gamble, but in the end, he did place in the top 8, taking 4th place in the tournament. He would later state that he was the #1 ranked American player in this tournament because the first 3 places were taken by Japanese players.
And that's true. So that year, that 1 year in this particular tournament, and again, remember what we said at the start, EVO was kind of big at one point, but big in the world before the big internet kicking off and all that. Wasn't as big as you'd think. If you're in it, you think it's big. You know, if you're into computer games and you're into Street Fighter 2 still in the age of the GameCube, then like what we're talking about now, 2004, we're talking about, you know, still playing Street Fighter 2. Now it's retro, but if you're in it and you're into it, it seems quite big. It's not big globally, it's not big world terms, it's not like you're the Fortnite champion. These days, if you win Fortnite, you know, fucking hell, but back then, not that big, but big within the world. And there he is. You can't say he's not. He's 4th. The Japanese players are all better. They beat all of the Americans, look, and he's the best placed American. Now, if I was there, I'm going to be fair to Phil. If I was there and I was building my brand, whatever way I'm trying to build it, you know, trying to develop my profile, I would say, there we go, boom, #1 American. Can't take it away from me. Take it away from me next year. But for this year, for this game, at this competition, I rated #1 American. Now, I'd put that on my you know, I'll tell you for what as well, if you're trying to promote yourself as a brand, as a business, whatever, you are not just looking, like, within the Street Fighter world, there's a lot of people who know who he is and have made their decisions. But if you wanted to get on your local radio station, an article in the local paper, or even bigger, you know, I don't know, if you want to push yourself as a brand, as a gamer, then that is an achievement, and you put it on your CV. You know, the people in the gaming world, in this world, might say, "Oh, but you know, we didn't compete this year, and it was a funny version of the game." No one else cares. You understand it because you're in the Street Fighter Evo community, but the rest of the world, you know, local NCB news, we're interviewing Darksyde Phil, who's just become America's top gamer this year. You know, that's all they're going to say. There's the record of it happening. So fair play. I would capitalise on that if you were Phil. Wouldn't you? That's like a big thing for you. That's an achievement. If the others didn't want to turn up, that's on them. You can't take away his achievement because they weren't there. Oh, I would have beaten you. Well, you didn't. That's bad sportsmanship. Saying, oh yeah, your achievement doesn't count because I wasn't there. That's bad sportsmanship. That's as bad sportsmanship as saying, like, you know, oh, you cheated, or isn't it? You know, let him have his moment in the sun for that.
Even though he may have been placed relatively high in the tournament, the fighting game community did not consider this as a legitimate win for DSP.
You got some idiot named DSP who's a total piece of shit, by the way.
So they already don't like him. Remember that, they don't like him. He's not always on the finals board, so now they're gonna fucking slate him.
I like to get that on YouTube, but this guy thought he was hot shit because he beat me and Choi in a game that was like fucking Neo Geo conversion of Street Fighter or some crap, dude.
Still beat you.
And he was so proud that he put under his signature he's the #1 US ranked Super Turbo player that year.
He was.
But I mean, look at him now.
Fair enough. Look at him now. Next year he's not so hot, is he? Because things change again. But you got to give him that fair place in the sun. I remember in my tournament days at fencing, you know, I wasn't always the winner. Other people, my friend Alistair was British champion. He was British champion. I came second. I had to accept that. Junior championships, he won. So that year I didn't say, "Oh, I'm better than you." Really, if I'd have just done this, he was the champion that year. The end. And you know, the things that I won, I put on my CV. The things he won, he put on. Fair enough. I think within the game world, they know the real score, don't they? It's a bit like in wrestling. It's a bit like when, you know, the bad character, the heel, gets the belt, and everyone knows Hulk Hogan's the real champion, but, you know, this baddie's got the belt for a little bit. He still had the belt. So I think it's a bit harsh. I know they want to do him down. I know that it's the King of Hate stuff, and they've already got an opinion, and he's already, you know, caused that opinion by rubbing them up the wrong way. But they do sound a bit bitter to me now, like here, on reflection. The real world is he's not the best gamer out of all of them. We know that. They know that. So they just got to make sure that everyone else knows that.
I mean, he's just 20,000 idiots are subscribed to him. That's great. Congratulations. Congratulations with your YouTube channel, and hope you enjoy your life, bro. I mean, it's a great victory. PlayStation 1 Super Turbo champion. You know, take that to your grave, bro. Good luck.
It's fighting talk, but I suppose that's okay because it's the competitive world of Street Fighter 2.
It's a really bad fucking conversion because you figure Super Turbo is a fucking arcade.
So they don't like, you know, they go on about this game and how, you know, it's not an illegitimate win. But for me, you can't argue that because if you go to the tournament and they, you know, if this year at the boxing tournament we're not using boxing gloves, we're using great big pillows, and you win the year that you use great big pillows, you're the winner. I didn't choose the pillows, they did. Like, you know, that's the sport. Like, if this year the American football is going to be really big, like, and you win that year, you're the best with the really big ball. That's that.
The real reason for the hate. Let them know.
The real reason for the hate is because people just have massive disrespect. I mean, for years, these same guys are on top. And yes, I'm talking about John Choi. I'm talking about Alex Valle. Playing ST, placing, okay, they're good. But to disrespect the people that got top 8 at Evolution, to make excuses because it's on console, it's ridiculous.
And also, what's really important at this point is that you've got this elitism. You've got the Street Fighter 2 community. Remember, we're way past the fucking arcade machines at this point. Now we're into people at home playing on their GameCubes, yeah? But they're saying, and PlayStation, so they're saying now that you can't, console gaming, no. It's got to be on the big machine. You've got to have your proper, you know, joystick, haven't you? Otherwise, it's not. It's not. Now, in today's day and age, consoles are used at all the main tournaments. So, like, maybe Phil was actually making a point here that. And what's interesting is that he's on YouTube at this point. We're going to look at the other documentary, maybe this one, to determine his pace on YouTube. We're going to watch them both a little bit here, maybe. I've just got to remember how many windows I've got open. That's the one that said OBS wasn't working. That's Steve of the Dead, who we're going to try and get involved. This is our stream, it's live. This is esports development, just a window. This is Street Fighter 2 Evo, right? So, like, nowadays, you would expect them to use consoles at competitions like this, wouldn't you, almost? And what I was saying was that Darksyde Phil, I need to spin off some of these windows, thanks. He's now on YouTube in these early stages. He's using consoles which are like the newer, cool thing, like the PlayStation generation. So there's a lot of people who might ignore Evo on the big machines and actually care about what it's like to play on a console. So I think it's actually an interesting point that he's making, and that he's saying they're the old guard, and that the elitists don't want to allow this change. But maybe it's okay for the world to change.
Unacceptable. For Valle to say that just because he didn't enter the tournament is the reason that the top 8 got top 8, that's bullshit. And I think that he needs to really prove himself and actually redeem himself for saying something like that, because it's disrespectful to everyone who did place top 8.
It was a completely unique experience and year, because if you guys saw Hate Live a couple months back, I did my Evo 2005 story. This was the year when I literally had no money. I basically maxed out my credit cards to go out. I went to Evolution. I ended up getting 5th place in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo at the national level, okay? National level fighting game championships. And the only people who placed above me were Japanese players. So, actually, I think it wasn't 5th, it was 4th place. Man, I'm misspeaking. I ended up getting 4th place that year. And like I said, the top 3 players were Japanese players. So, technically, that year I was the highest ranking American in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This, of course, spurned a ton of controversy. A ton.
He's saying a bit wrong there. Obviously, that's not what spurned the controversy. It's his attitude that all of a sudden he's the best and you're not, and he's maintaining his position of hated person within the community. So the minute he starts saying he's the best, he's going to get this backlash, and he knows he is, and it's about controversy. So he's being a bit disingenuous there to say, oh, just because I did well, it spurned controversy. But we've had a look at that now, haven't we? We know why. This Street Fighter 2 turn, it's quite a big, they're going on about the legitimacy of this. I'm skipping on a feud between some of the people. It's all ancient history now, but this is his position within
about someone you don't fucking know.
Dude, let me tell you something. Like you don't talk shit about other people.
This is the same guy who 2 nights ago I said I was gonna save your ass. I was gonna send you.
Dude, if you ain't gonna save my ass, then don't save
my own fucking.
So it's all a bit of that, isn't it? It's all a bit childish, I would say. But there we go. That's part 1 of this documentary, his origins, where he's come from. What I did want to sort of cover.
Philip himself claims that this nickname was earned due to the unpopular opinions he touts, and because he uses the hatred against him as a motivator. But other tournament goers tell a different tale.
What I did want to cover was that at that point, right, you're talking about someone who is on the national Street Fighter scene, is a professional gamer, is challenging and competing at tournaments, is also starting a YouTube account. So I think back then, you've got to say that within his own mind, he's a pretty big cheese on the computer game, like live gaming, on the gaming front, haven't you? You've got to say he's a pretty big. Like, when I was at that age, I wasn't a professional gamer. I played fucking loads of games. I'd not made it into this echelon, this world. So, I've got to bow down in a way and say, hang on, skills, enterprising, he's doing it. And so the advent of YouTube, this is down the rabbit hole video now. I'm switching between the two, but
2005 also had marked the year of YouTube's creation.
Like, you don't have to like him as a person for his opinions and attitude, but you've got to accept that he is forging a successful path in this world. Even though he is not a big favourite in the community itself, he's able to reach a wider audience maybe on YouTube and be successful.
In 2007, just 2 years later, people began uploading videos of themselves playing video games.
And I remember, again, 2007, I was not uploading to YouTube. You know, I don't even think I had the internet in my house at that point.
While often adding their own commentary over their gameplay, a practice borrowed from internet forums. They also borrowed the name, Let's Plays. Discovering this medium, Philip began posting his own videos onto YouTube by pointing a video camera at his television screen.
Do you remember those days? I remember at the time, people playing cameras, video games on home cameras on YouTube. I remember that. I remember thinking, this will never fucking take off. What the fuck are they doing? Wasting their time. Like, I play the games. I don't want to see someone else play the games. Like, when I sit with my mates and play the games, I'm egging for get my turn. You know, when's my turn? It's like, this can't take off. It fucking did, didn't it?
Then uploading the files onto YouTube on a channel under his typical pseudonym, Darksyde Phil, in all undercase.
Alright. Obviously, he's a pretty bad driver, but apparently they're all drunk because no one's shooting at.
Side note, during this time there were two acceptable practices for recording gameplay footage for a Let's Play. The first was to use what's called a...
Okay, they're going to explain capture device technology, and I'm going to say absolutely not. Like, back then, no one had a capture card. It was expensive, and it was like, you know, only the top people who had lots of... Everyone had one of them. That's what they were doing, yeah. So he's using YouTube, gaining popularity, and also they're saying that his sense of humour, you know, his childishness nature, some of these slurs maybe, it took off a bit.
10-minute segments and upload each of those segments onto his gaming channel individually.
And they say that he used to upload these smaller segments because of course he's recording off a camera, and actually back then that would have helped. More videos, more views, 10-minute segments, little gameplay.
In April of 2010, Philip began to experience the first signs of trouble. Apparently, Ubisoft had seen some of Philip's gameplay footage of Splinter Cell Conviction and complained to the YouTube administrators, who promptly shut down his channel out of fear of litigation. YouTube then contacted Ubisoft to verify the concern, but Ubisoft stated that they had made no such claim. In fact, it had been an anonymous internet user who had created a false account in an attempt to shut down Philip's YouTube channel, at least for a time. Why they wanted this is uncertain, but the channel was reinstated shortly after. As time went on, Philip uploaded more and more videos until he was reliably uploading over a dozen videos a day.
And back then, uploading game stuff, like, it wasn't as common. I mean, he is an early vanguard of this you know, gaming movement on... Hello Gojo Sama. Hello Gojo Sama. New chatter. He's a new... Sorry, just realised that chat on screen there is capturing just the last top bit instead of the... My OBS is a bit fucked today. They updated OBS today and they fucked it up so that nothing works. So thanks OBS. None of my buttons work on my Stream Deck now. Just change that chat around at the bottom of the screen. In fact, I should put it up at the top of the screen so I look up to look at it, don't I? Yeah, we had a problem with the words, didn't we? And I've got Genshin Impact on the screen. This week, instead of bankrupting me through charity donations, I had to buy a laptop on the internet. And it wasn't... In fact, I'll put another £10 in the words kitty for missing the episode. It's not that I don't want to give the money to charity. It's just that I was too busy in administrative mode, worrying about spending money. So we missed a couple of streams this week, but you know, we're on. And the reason I got the laptop is so that we can work away from home, which is going to happen next week. So yeah, so I was just saying, this early days of uploading to YouTube, like doing lots of little episodes of your Fallout gameplay, each episode getting a load of views instead of one big long video. Like these days it's different. We'll come on to see that later in the story maybe. I'll just quickly say it now though. He's still doing this. He's still cutting all of his up. Like what Phil will do on his channel now, I just quickly want to cover this while we're looking at it. DSP Gaming, is that he'll go live with a stream like we're doing now, and then at the end of it he'll delete it and cut it up into small videos and then upload them. And he hasn't realised that in today's day and age that's like the opposite thing to do. What YouTube will do, I've noticed from my analytics, is if I do a live stream on YouTube, it's like suggesting it to people, I'm live. It's even got a red thing around us right now on our thing, you're live, and people come and watch. And then when you stop and you finish, it will then suggest that to people. Do you want to come and watch this stream that just happened as a video? And a long video, you can have 4 or 5 different advert segments. I haven't got any adverts, I'm not monetized yet, but you know, it will let you put lots of adverts in it, the same amount as you would have over 6 or 7 little videos. You maybe only get 1 view for the long video, but if you get a longer view, YouTube says, oh look, people are watching a lot of this, so I'll suggest that. It's actually good. People are liking this longer form content on YouTube these days, and leaving the stream up gets the views. If you take it down, edit it and upload it, YouTube's algorithm says this is an uploaded video. It's immediately below something that was done live. If I take my live stream now and I take it off YouTube at the end and then upload it, it won't get suggested as often as if I just leave it up there. So he's scuppering himself these days. It's kind of funny. That one's an hour long and that one's an hour long, and they're 2 of the same stream. It's a 2-hour stream separated into 2-hour sections. And so what's more likely is that people will watch one video, and then when they come to the end of the video and have to choose, do I continue watching Darksyde Phil or something else, they're given a range of choices, other videos they can watch, and they're more likely to click off. If you leave it as a 2-hour video and they're interested, they'll keep watching the 2 hours. You'll get a much more, your video will be suggested to YouTube more. So what you've got to do is make sure that people are actually watching it the whole way through. You know, keep the content going, not cut it up into 4 segments so that if they want to see the whole thing, they have to watch 4 times. That's what he's thinking. 1 person equals 4 views instead of 1 long view. But in the YouTube business these days, 1 long view is better than 4 views from the same person on the same. But anyway, that's by the by, isn't it? But Phil's an early success on YouTube, and he's doing it however he can with his video camera, and his childish and schoolboy humor is popular because at that time, you know, young lads using YouTube, calling each other gay, like, it's just, you know, okay, I see that, it's popular.
Near the end of that year, he was laid off from his job, and so he established a Google AdSense account to start monetizing his videos. AdSense is the system that Google uses to distribute advertisements and pay content creators for their views and the number of times someone interacts with an ad or the video itself. Along with this, he started a new series on his blog channel in October of that year called DSP Tries It, where he would review food items and occasionally video game peripherals.
So again, early YouTube user, doing all the right things on YouTube. I don't see a problem with this myself.
These videos would also be monetized under his AdSense account.
I think what you got to consider as well while we're looking at that image of the fast food being consumed is that the YouTube is a global marketplace these days. It's a global platform, and so people like me can reach people like you. Look, you know, looking at you in chat there. People like me can reach people like you. We can all reach each other. So now YouTube is a bit more like, now that what I'm trying to say is, back then it'd have been a lot more young men that were on YouTube. A lot more younger people in general would have been using the internet, and these early adopters, maybe like Phil is in a position where he's at least how am I trying to say this? Now, I didn't have the internet in my house because my mom was a single parent, and it took us a while before the internet became affordable for normal people. Like, Phil is in a bit of a luxury situation. He's white, middle class, American. Like, you know, he's got a lot of advantages that someone maybe who was born in Afghanistan doesn't have. So he's early, he's on the internet, he's got a bit of money. You know, he's coming in through. He had a job, he's not been laid off, but it's coming in through whatever means. Like, he's eating the food, he's got the juice, he's in a house, he's not like, you know, on the dirty end of the poverty scale. He's got the internet, he's got the camera, he's got the game system, so he's got a bit of money. You know, he's got that to start off with. And I would say that there's probably quite a lot of, you know, teenage teenage boys of the same ilk on the internet. And I'm not going to say all the bullies like Phil, or like, you know, there's a load of bullies out there, but like, there's probably, I remember at school, like, I was not the norm. I was one of the, you know, slightly different, freaky, geeky kids, but, you know, like the norm, the jocks, the cheerleaders, the, you know, the chart pop, like, you know, the rugby players, the football players, or whatever, you know, the normal people, a lot more of them. And amongst them, I would say there are probably a lot of kids like Phil. You know, a bit. I'm not trying to be too mean here, but you know, if you live in America and you're brought up in a nice white middle class family and you've got an Xbox and a PlayStation and you know junk food and you've got all the lovely stuff and you know you maybe not. I'm not trying to say everyone's spoiled by nature, but I'm trying to say that some people might be a bit privileged, might be a bit arrogant, might be a bit spoiled, might not see the world through these different eyes, might not have that empathy. And maybe Phil represents quite a lot of young lads who are on the internet playing computer games and eating junk food. You know, not even in a horrible negative way. You know, I didn't realise at the time how lucky I was to be in a warm house. You know, I was just a kid with an Xbox. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I wasn't a kid with an Xbox. I was a kid with a NES. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you grow and you widen your worldview and you you know, learn how lucky you are and you develop in that way. Maybe Phil didn't, but I don't think it's a surprise that he's got an audience. I wouldn't watch him eating junk food, but I know there's a lot of kids out there in America who eat a lot of junk food and play a lot of computer games and you know, maybe are a bit, you know, you hear them 14-year-olds on Call of Duty, don't you, giving everyone shit, like, you know, maybe they are a bit entitled and maybe some of Phil does resonate with them. Rage Against the Mashes. Okay, so we'll go back to King of Hate documentary now.
Happen in this champ because.
And I don't know if I would want to handle it. Would I love to go back to EVO? At least once, yes. I would love one last time, go to EVO, play Super Turbo, see...
Just to put a seal on this, he's talking about EVO again there. I think those days are dead. You know, he's wearing that t-shirt there from that competitive league that we don't even recognise. I think he, in today's day and age, still thinks of EVO as he thought of it as a teenager, like it's this massive thing. And I think if you're in EVO, it's a massive thing. But let me show you the World Championships of Fencing. Now, I went to the World Championships at fencing, yeah? And no one fucking knew. No one cared. It's not on the news. But, like, Budapest, I actually went to Budapest. Look at it. Like, you know, it's got a stage and it's got lights and there's an audience. And, like, you know, it's a big deal if you're into fencing. If you're into fencing, yeah? If you're not into fencing, then it doesn't seem like such a big deal. Like, it can pass you by without you even knowing it happens. And that's what EVO's like these days. Like, if you're into it, you have to be into the niche. You know, if you're into gaming, it can seem like a pretty big fucking deal, and it is. You know, they've got a stage and they've got, you know, games and the lights. It is a pretty big deal. But just like the World Championships of Fencing, no one gives a shit. Like, no one actually gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you've just become part of the NBA. It's a much, much smaller niche. In fact, these days, the world of competitive gaming's moved on in itself, so that it's more like League of Legends, and you know, there's different games that have become the big. Everyone thought that computer fighting games, everyone thought that Street Fighter 2 was going to be the biggest thing forever, because it's like, you know, tennis is still tennis, chess is still chess. Street one-on-one fighting competition was what computer games were about. They didn't have League of Legends and Dota, did they? They didn't have those things. They didn't even conceive that they would be completely look at Fortnite. They didn't conceive that Fortnite would blow them out completely, and that EVO is now it's a speck of dust compared to Fortnite. Do you know what I mean? So, whilst it's still popular, whilst it still exists, and there's nothing wrong with the Street Fighter 2 community or, you know, competitive games like this, it has not become the market leader. And he's, in his mind, I think, Darksyde Phil thinks, EVO is massive. I was massive in EVO. I've always got this place, a bit like I was, you know, a bit like I had a #1 song at some point. You know, I've been in the charts, I've released an album, I'm always going to be a famous musician. Okay, you know, the kids of today don't listen to drum and bass like they did used to, or, you know, they're not into the same sort of, you know, metal that I used to enjoy. But, you know, I'll always have this following, this, you know, this position within this status. And it's derived from the status of the overarching community, the thing that you're in. You know, so EVO is big, I'm big in EVO, I'm big. But I don't think he understands that these days, the average child coming through playing computer games, they don't fucking know what EVO is. Like, they're playing Fortnite and something else. Like, the landscape has shifted so dramatically from when he understood it that it is no longer even the same continent. And he's seen it happen around, but he hasn't ingratiated himself within it. You know, he's not played these games. He's not gone to these other tournaments, so he's not really understood it. You know, again, it's passed him by. A bit like I said, you know, eating junk food and being a white middle-class American, you don't get to see the entire, you know, viewpoint on the world until you get a bit older and you have the opportunity to go and have a look around. And if you don't bother looking around, you don't know what you don't know. So he still thinks he's pretty big, I think. You know, he's going on about this Evo thing still in today's day and age almost. So that's something worth noting for me, and something I'd like to unpick with Steve. I should write down all my questions. I have written down a few. Right, part 2 then. Let's have a look at part 2. We're jumping between 2 documentaries, and bear in mind that the Rabbit Hole documentary, this one, has been critiqued by Phil, and he said that it's not right. So, you know, maybe we should lean away from it a bit. This is the other one.
I feel here. Fuck off. You're gone. Don't come back.
This is the King of Hate.
Idiots saying that I'm a morbidly that we're finally meeting face to face, although you kind of look like my camera.
After his time in the fighting game community, DSP would become a Let's Play on a relatively new site, YouTube. He would upload Street Fighter matches, ranging from 2 to 3 minute videos, each video being its own match. He would use this format for Street Fighter and other games, finding great success in the early days of YouTube. He was relatively unknown prior to his YouTube career, but once he began establishing himself on YouTube, he gained a following of 18,000 subscribers, which was quite large at the time. At this milestone, DSP decided it was time to reveal himself to his community.
I wanted to throw this out there. I know that thousands of people have been freaking out. What does DSP look like? Why does he not show his face? Well, first of all, you're all fags, just so you know.
Whoa.
But, the reason...
I mean, obviously, I'm not accepting that he's just called everyone fags. It's been obliterated there. Thankfully, I'm in the UK, where that's colloquial terminology for cigarettes, but I think he means it in a sexually. You see what I mean? He's quite happy to use these words that now are unacceptable. Not just the words that are unacceptable, the meaning behind them, like the idea that by being gay is somehow derogatory, therefore I can be derogatory to you by suggesting that you are. Like, we know why that's wrong, but in his first video revealing his face on YouTube, he's banging there with it. So, like, we get an insight now into his character, where I would say when you're younger and you're on that internet scene, you know, maybe, I don't remember typing fags on the internet, I don't remember calling anyone like names like that on the internet, but I was arriving to it a little bit later than Phil did. But like I said, when I was 14 and at school, every day, you know, calling each other gay and all that at my boys' school. But as I was, like, when I'm his age, by his age, I'm nowhere in that ballpark anymore. I'm not a little kid anymore, so I'm not falling into those traps, and the world is starting to change. I don't know why it's not changing for Phil, but he's still doing that, so, you know.
The reason I haven't shown my face is because when I started this whole thing with YouTube...
And it's not, this is still younger Phil, bear in mind, but like I'm saying, you've gone from the fighting game scene to the YouTube scene, and you're bringing your whole exactly who you are, you know, not questioning it at all. It's just how it is, I suppose.
I didn't, you know, think that it was going to blow up like it has. I didn't think that I was going to have 18,000 subscribers and 19 million channel views within like 7 months.
And again, this is this ego inflation moment with Phil. I haven't got 18,000 subscribers on this channel, but I've had 18,000 subscribers on another channel. And I mean, I've had 25,000, and it's gone up and down over the years. More down over the last few years on other channels, but they're just ASMR channels. They're not like what we're doing here. But the point is that, to me, I didn't see that as like global, worldwide domination. Maybe to him, in those early YouTube stages, those millions of views, those numbers of subscribers seem massive, and maybe they were, but people are watching the gameplay of a certain game. You're one of the early adopters presenting that opportunity to watch it, so you're in a much more narrow market. There's a lot less competition, and you're also riding on the back of content like Fallout, or name a game he's played at that in that era, and those games are well crafted. People want to know if they want to play them. There's a huge explosion in that market, and people are looking for information on those themes. So you can claim success, but you always have to be careful to say, what are people watching and why are they watching it? Like, if you're a content creator, I'm saying, like a lot of people, like I do on the Ganji Cuts channel, I lean on Asmongold sometimes. He says something, I react to it, and then I produce a video and put it out there. People are coming to see what Asmongold has said, and those viewers are coming to hear a conversation about what Asmongold has said. So I'm not popular because a video on Ganji Cuts gets popular if I talk about Asmongold. Asmongold is popular, and I'm riding his popularity to try and gain some attention on our content, because some of those people might also like what we do, what I do, and you know, stay here and watch future videos. So I'm trying to get, you know, some attention through that. But I understand that if tomorrow I talk about Cagney and Lacey, only 10 people might show up to this video, because I'm not talking about Asmongold. They were here for Asmongold. They've gone away when Asmongold is not discussed. I'm not claiming I'm popular when Asmongold is discussed. I know that I'm, you know, the level. Whereas here, I think Philly's getting confused and his ego is getting conflated. Sorry, there's a lot going on in chat. I'm sort of missing. You're not allowed words on there. Oh, it's fags is not allowed as a word on here. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Like, they put it in their YouTube video and I'm reacting to his use of it, like saying why it's bad. So I think it's okay. But me just saying fags is not bad, is it? But it is in a way. Like, you know, I hope we don't get deleted off YouTube for that. If we do, then, you know, I have to accept that, you know, we can't even discuss a word. I mean, I'm not saying the N word. Let's put it like that. Whereas in England, I'll say fags every day, like go and get me a packet of fags. So, like, it's a bit different for me, maybe. But it's an offensive word outside the UK, yeah. But when I was growing up, it wasn't. And when he's saying it there in the early 2007, it's only on the borderline. Like, when I say it's not offensive, it would have been offensive to some people back then, but we wouldn't have understood as a generalised, like, teenage society, because I was, you know, not a fully thinking grown up. Like, I'd have just, you know, my mates would have said, you know, stop being a fag to somebody. Like, it would have happened. So I'm just acknowledging the truth. I'm not here to, like, you know, bandy around slurs, though, obviously. I'm discussing one. I hope that's okay. If it's not, then I'll take that on the chin and we'll have to take this video down. That's why I wanted to do all of this Darksyde Phil backstory in one video. So if there's any problems, we can fucking take it down. Right. This is me saying about his ego, yeah. So I think that he's confused the idea that people want to watch the videos with him being popular, and they're not the same. They're not the same. Sometimes you can release a video that people want to watch, and it doesn't mean that you are personally popular because of it. What it might mean is that the content that you're leaning on, or drawing from, or mining, or whatever you want to call it, is popular. So if you're riding that wave, you've got to accept when that wave dissipates, you are going to drop. Like, the rising water rises all boats, and so will the sinking sea. So, you know, it will sink you. So you've got to make sure that you either find something else interesting to talk about that other people are also interested in. You're always riding waves of popularity on the internet. You kind of are. You kind of are. I kind of am here. Kind of. You know, I wouldn't talk about Phil if he wasn't relevant in any way, would I? But to me, he's a great, interesting character study who hopefully is going to get us through to some psychology with Darksyde as well. Darksyde Steve, with Steve of the Dead. So there's reasons, but, you know, I've got to accept that I'm also kind of riding waves of popularity. So the fact that I understand that means that when we get a popular video on one of the channels, which we have had on Ganji Cuts recently, I'm not going to bother showing it you know, it exists, then I know that next week, you know, I'm not counting on that. It's not me that's my personality that's popular, it's the content that's interesting. So in the long term, if I can make enough interesting content, then people might be exposed to my personality, and I might be able to draw people in just because it's me. You know, it's me talking about it. That's happening here, isn't it? You know, some of you here do not know exactly what we're about to talk about today, but you know that because I'm running it, it's going to be all right. Oh god. Right, yeah, anyway, so that's his ego.
I just thought it was a fun thing to do, you know. I knew Street Fighter 4 was coming.
PSP would gain a massive followers as they would enjoy watching his gaming vids due to his frankness and his attempts at humor.
See? That guy got died instantly. He got squished.
Ace and atoms swirled together.
Looks like an asshole.
I heard, no, I mean, I saw.
And I think back then he did have a personality, and he was able to exhibit it on screen, and it was this, you know, boys club humour, and the audience at the time would have resonated quite well with it. I think that all makes sense to me. I can understand why this wouldn't still be the case, why YouTube has grown, diversified, and reaches a wider audience. Therefore, this sort of humour is now seen as maybe slightly childish and shunned slightly by the wider by the people that run YouTube, by the people that want to present this. Like, you want advertisers to come because you've got this good content on your platform. So showing them the advertising execs this channel and saying this is really popular on our platform, they're going to go, really, is this the platform we want to be on? Oh no, hang on, wait, look at these other people we've got. I mean, Markiplier's much more wholesome and healthy, isn't he? Markiplier and PewDiePie for the kids, and then we've got this other girl doing makeup, and you know, and we've got we do Eurovision these days, and we're, you know, absolutely diversity inclusive, and we've got, you know, see what I'm saying? Like, you can see why Phil's unique selling point at one point might have been the key critical way to reach the audience on YouTube and helped him grow. But in another way, like today, hello Roger, yeah, it is an offensive word outside the UK. But today, it's not seen as such a selling point, is it? You have to either grow with the platform, with the audience, or you become niche yourself. Like, he started out niche, he became more mainstream, and then I'm going to predict that it becomes more niche if he doesn't change. But
They would also enjoy how open he was about his rage.
I'm doing it! I'm fucking doing it! Come on! And any game ever! I'd rather play E.T. on Atari than play this right now. It's fucking horrible. Fuck, man.
And I think at this juncture, I mean, because I know what's about to happen in the story, but I think at this juncture, it would have been great if Phil had got himself an editor and just relied on someone else for the technical bit. You know, like saying, I'm making some money on YouTube now. The money's coming in, so I'll give you half, and you turn my shit-looking gameplay into lovely edited videos. You know, give me a edited sequence of all my fucking fails where everyone's laughing and finds it. You know, that would take off. That would go really well, wouldn't it? I don't have to keep using this video camera from now on. I'll upload, you know, I'll play through a capture card, and you, clever editor, take that capture file and put it on YouTube for me, and I'll just concentrate on creating content, and you concentrate on editing it and making it look at its best. That's where or your other option is you learn to edit and you devote some time in your life to doing these other things, because we know that at that point in YouTube, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? People who started making better quality content with better cameras, with better computers, the same thing that Phil was able to use to his advantage, having a bit of money about him, not being, you know, not growing up in a working class poor environment where you couldn't even afford a games console, but instead having the camera and the telly and the PlayStation and the, you know, being on YouTube at this early stage required you to have an internet connection which cost money, you know, like a phone bill, all this stuff he was able to pay for. He was in there doing it ahead of other people. But as these things become cheaper to everyone and more people get access to cameras and computers and internet, you're going to have a bigger group of people competing with you, and those other people that have got a slightly better camera. I'm not complaining, like I used to complain about it in ASMR in a way, that there was a competitive advantage for some people, but then it was funny in ASMR that it didn't matter because you could actually create really good quality content on kit that wasn't as good, because it was about like this quality that it had by being a bit lo-fi. So interesting. But yeah, anyway, the point here is that you're going to get superseded by people with better quality kit, because that's just it. That's just how it's going to work. So you can't, like, you were those people initially. Now you've got to move with the times. And if you don't get an editor to make your content more digestible and to promote you and to help, and if you don't get a better quality setup, the people that do, the PewDiePies, whoever, are going to just take over, aren't they? That's just obvious to anyone. But at this point where it's becoming popular, it would seem to me that Darksyde Phil should have had that conversation with himself. But we will see that he does develop. Watch.
This game's fucking bullshit.
In the early days of YouTube, gameplay recruiting was vastly different depending on the creator, and the quality could vary drastically between creators. In DSP's case, he would use a camera pointed at a screen to catch his commentary and the gameplay. Anytime DSP would rage, he would hit the coffee table, shaking the camera and affecting gameplay.
I mean, people were watching though at this point, and you've got to remember, this was the dream. You know, you've got the full setup there, you've got the latest console, you've got a room with the windows blacked out, you're eating your Cheetos and you're playing computer games all day, and you're getting paid for it, and all you have to do is record it on that camera and upload it to the internet. That was the state of the art.
Oh my god! Come on, man. What the fuck? I don't want to hear this song. I'm pissed. I'm pissed at this fucking stupid game.
In the early days of YouTube, this was a common method of capturing gameplay footage. The other option would have been using a capture code with the console to directly capture.
Yeah, when obviously capture card technology was not, you know, not freely available. Not like he didn't even have a big PC to do it, did he? Like, you know, you would need all the rendering and all. I remember back those days, it seemed out of reach.
For him to use. Apparently, at the time, people were questioning if he was using a capture code or just recording from a screen using a camera, and he had to address it in a video.
To answer the question everyone asks, no, I don't record straight from the feed. I have a digital camera which I'm using right now. It's a Sony HD digital camera.
But you've got to remember as well, right? This is no one's getting banned, yeah. I think that people have to censor themselves to maintain a channel without getting banned. Maybe. I'll tell you what, I want to address this comment, actually, I really do. That's a really interesting comment, King Stowers. I agree with some of it. I'll talk about another aspect as well in just a second. Something that feels missing, we'll come on to, but I'll deal with this comment, is that what YouTube does, and it actually has a creator program. Every time I talk about this, I think I'm getting a black mark, so I'm not going to show you the video, I can't be asked, but I did it on my old channel. I think it gives me a black mark, and I think YouTube doesn't want me to say these things, but they actually promote to people, and they've been doing it for years. You get on YouTube and you make a few videos, you start getting popular, you get your first 100, 200 views, and you get these videos come in your feed box. Oh, hi, welcome to the creator program. You know, YouTube content creators, why don't you have a look at our videos to help you how to create your videos? And some of them are good tips. For example, at the start of this video, I said an introduction that had a catchphrase, and that creates a bit of identity for me. It's something that happened organically through my work, but YouTube suggests you do it. Get yourself a catchphrase to start with, and it suggests that you say, subscribe. Why haven't you clicked like on this video yet? You know, it asks you to do that. It goes further than that. It says, in the first 10 seconds of your video, tell people what's coming up in the video so that they will know what the video is going to contain and they'll look forward to it. They're not going to click off. And make sure you state the value of what you're doing. So I'm going to tell you today about Darksyde Phil. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because he's an interesting character study in psychology. The value to you is that you're going to learn about human emotions and human behavior, and maybe, you know, learn a bit about how to improve your life or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do this at the start and then you do the content, and so YouTube's already homogenizing its content. And why is it asking you to do all these things? Well, one reason is I'll get more views. It's more appealing to the masses. This is how people like it. Another reason is if I make my content like YouTube want me to make it, then YouTube advertisers will be happy and I'll get more views and advertising and all that. So YouTube are less interested in having like, this is not a platform, like, it's a creator platform, isn't it? But it's not a platform for diverse creation and creatives and, like, you know, arts and niches, and it is that. All that exists here, but that's not what goes on the annual Rewind roundup. Like, it's a place for PewDiePies and Markipliers and, you know, mainstream advertiser friendly content. That's what it wants. And if you're not that, like, they're going to ask you to be like that and teach you how to be like that. And if you follow that, you change your content and you become like YouTube or the current state of the art of YouTube. And if you don't, you might have a chance at being unique and, you know, successful in a different way. But it is like, yes, I believe it's the samey stuff, because not only does it promote the samey stuff, people like the samey stuff. Like, in general, the audience are going for that, and they're telling you to do it as well. So yeah, it does. It's absolutely a homogenization platform. And on top of that, though, you know, a young kid starting out making videos sees their favorite Minecraft streamer and they just want to make videos like that. Do you know what I mean? So you get like 1 million Minecraft streamers. You only get a few big ones, and all the others that are trying to make videos like that are all watching the big ones and feeding into the market. And you get streamers, like, this is one that I find so funny, but it's a bit of a, I'm not dissing him or anything, like, it's just a fact. Look, watch this stream scheme. I've watched and learned, I think learned is the best way to say this, from this chap. I think he's really good. Yeah, he's got 173 subscribers on Stream Scheme, and he makes these videos about how to stream, about what to do, you know, how to organize yourself, how to be a streamer. These videos are really popular and they get loads of views. Like, his most popular videos here are getting millions of views, thousands and millions of views. Yeah, how to do streaming. We all want to know. We're learning from him. He's a streamer who talks about streaming, and he makes really good videos. And teaches us. So if we all follow him, we'll all end up making videos and doing things in this way, won't we? So it will become samey. Check this out though. This is really interesting. He's got another channel. It's not a secret channel. He's been trying to promote it. Frankly, it's not. He said it's a secret channel. It's not a secret channel. He's been trying to promote it. So this is a streamer who has got thousands of views, who's got like, you know, a channel with like 1 million subscribers, 600 views 2 weeks ago, 1,000 views 3 weeks ago. Only not doing any better than me. Not doing any better than me in his view counts. Maybe a bit better on average in the view counts. But this channel, his actual streaming channel, there he is playing the Looker. I played the Looker. You know, we're on the same level here. It's just that he's made a fucking massive successful YouTube channel already with 100,000 subscribers and all about streaming and following his own advice. He can't get any more successful than me. Why is that? Because YouTube's not looking for another PewDiePie, but the people that want to be PewDiePie are all watching this video on how to learn how to be a streamer. Do you see what I mean? So the actual popularity of what's on YouTube is how to be popular is popular. And everyone that's watching this has got their own channel. Like, you're not watching this if you don't have a stream, do you? So 170,000 people are interested in how to stream, and when he actually streams, only about, like, you know, 100 are interested in his actual stream. So it's funny, isn't it? Like, and I think that's because his stream is very homogenized, and actually his Looker takes, I'm not saying he copied me, I'm not saying that, maybe we think the same, but he has some of the, like, it's like, look, his advert there is that start to end. That's what I did. Maybe we think the same. Maybe that's the most obvious thing to think. Maybe we both fell into the obvious trap there. But, like, there's no originality, is there? Like, doing the same video as me just a couple of days later. Like, I'm not saying he's copied me. What I'm saying is that we both played the Looker, we both came up with the same sort of answers, we both made the same thumbnail, because that's how you make the fucking thumbnails on YouTube. So he is not following his rules, and his ideas don't pay off. They just homogenize your content. And when you're homogenized, when you're all the same, you can't stand out. So you're not going to get any success through that, because everyone's doing the same thing. They are these days. The thing that worked for him was teaching how to people to do the same thing. Teaching other people to do the same thing. And he looks successful because this has got thousands of subscribers. But this has got thousands, not him and his actual streams, this. It's a funny old world, isn't it? It's a funny old world. It's teaching and pushing conformity. I would agree. You know, I'd agree. Yeah. But you have to remember that what people conform to is the breakout. Like, Phil broke the mold here a bit by doing these interesting new, not him on his own, but that generation. And then people like PewDiePie watched him, copied it and did it a bit better and made it a bit more modern and tailored it to a new audience and understood that audience and understood how fast things are changing. In this video, Phil is telling you how he's using a Sony HD camera, and he's alright with that because he's had that for a year and a half and it's a good camera. By that point, that's gone in the bin. Everyone else that's new to the game is using capture cards, but he's not going to pick up a capture card for even a year or two later. I understand this. You know, I find it hard to keep up with the pace of change, but a 14-year-old doesn't. And when a 14-year-old comes to build his rig, he's not worried about a Sony HD camera like his dad had. That's in the bin. He's using a capture card from day one. So you're already behind and you can't keep up. So instead of you evolving and changing with the platform, the new adopters, the new interesting, at this point, YouTube doesn't know how to homogenize and what to homogenize, but there is a way of beating that homogenization trap, which is to be yourself and be original. And you can make it through the filter. And if you can, you're popular and you're big because you're the one doing it and everyone else is a replica, a copy. But just copying other people will get you to a certain, you know, it will help you to be one of those boats that are in the sea that are being, you know, you're part of the fleet, but standing out from the fleet, going and finding your own place to fish, that's a brave and dangerous risk. But you can't even get there if you can't get on the sea. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to, there's like a funny, I think that makes some sense to me there. So back to Phil here, he's telling us about this like he's at this, it's so strange the way he represents these moments in YouTube's development cycle as a platform. But here he's gone from being the brand new gaming vanguard, you know, showing you live gameplay on live, you know, showing you gameplay and commentary, a new thing that even people like me who loved computer games and was the target audience almost, probably I was a bit older than the target audience at this point, but I was not interested in watching it because I play in the games, but I didn't think it would take off. Didn't know it was going to take off like this. Amazed by it. Amazed by it. But here's Phil, he's in the early adopter stage, he's in the vanguard, and yeah, he's already falling by the wayside because he refuses to modernize quick enough.
Details on what the camera is, go to my Darksyde Phil channel. Everything's on.
And
the
yeah,
left.
nowadays, like you say, there are plenty of people making a decent living on YouTube with all sorts of different things. So it might not be that the actual content is homogenized, like, what they're saying is different, but the way they present it might be very, like, in order to be the successful gardener channel, you probably have to do those things I just said, but have a good thumbnail, and it probably has a thumbnail like this with you in the garden, and then like it probably has a list of keywords in the title, and it probably has in the first 30 seconds a call to action and to tell you what's in the video, and it probably, you know what I'm saying, like, and then you take that formula and you apply it to childcare or anything, and you've got a good YouTube channel. The content itself will vary, but the format of how to make YouTube videos, but at this point we've become quite, because I'll tell you why, it's because big advertising marketing companies have stepped in and said this is how they fucking do it, and if you don't do it this way, we're going to beat you. Mr. Beast is doing it this way, he's on top. Like, that's the algorithm. Like, you can't fight it. It's like swimming upstream otherwise. I've been there, done that. So both sides of the coin. You have to play the game a little bit, you have to. But you can also then take the time to make some things that are a bit more different, a bit more creative. Hopefully I'm doing the same here. We can get the benefit of having a bit of a consistent platform on this platform. And then, with those opportunities, we can try something a bit different, break the mold a bit, and if it's successful, great, and if not, no. But I understand these days about the balance. I also respect people who don't have the balance, but I have to try and be financially viable as well. And this is now, we're not talking about cameras and uploads on SD cards anymore. We're talking about the modern world of YouTube, where it's just like a viable platform for financial stability if you can provide value and consistency. I think that's a fair way to look at it, isn't it? So it is more challenging for variety, yeah, it is. But remember those things I said earlier as well. I'm not living and dying by the actual content necessarily. I'm hoping that people stick around for me providing the present. Do you know what I'm saying? I should have had a shave, but like it's the content. It's a bit of both, isn't it? It's my curation of the content. You don't get this anywhere else, although you do get this everywhere else.
Left-hand side that you could ever possibly want to fucking ask me. I don't understand why people just can't read, but hopefully now throwing this video out there, people will actually go there rather than ask me silly questions.
DSP would play and record games in long gameplay sessions. So
I'm just gonna have to quickly grab a drink.
Possible, then chop it up into 2 to 10 minute segments. His content was quantity over quality to get as many videos as possible, because that would draw in the most views, especially with newer released games. In the early days of YouTube, there's a lack of content and the market wasn't oversaturated, so Darksyde Phil's approach of pumping out as many videos as possible was filling a content vacuum. And this method worked for Darksyde Phil, as he saw massive growth in the early days of YouTube. With this type of content, DSP obviously intended to get views, but he also seemed to genuinely enjoy producing this content and interacting with his fans early on in his career, something that would drastically change over time.
Another thing that a lot of people ask me is, why do I do what I do? Why do I make so many gameplay videos? And, how do I have the time to do it? How do I have the money to do it? Well, it's a combination of two things. First of all, for the first time in a long time, I actually have a steady job that I fairly like. It pays me pretty decently. As you know, as you can see here, I am in my new condo, so obviously it pays me pretty decently that I can afford this place. But besides that, I do have a back injury. I have mentioned it before in the channel comments. I've mentioned it in a couple videos, but this is pretty much probably going to be the highest rated video ever on my channel, just because I'm showing my face. So I might as well just kind of get some of the basics down. I decided, hey, why not? I see a lot of people doing it online, and rather than me just sit here and play the games by myself, why not share it with people, and be, fun with the games and make jokes and do commentary and do something that other people aren't doing. Everyone else does playthroughs, and what do? They just fucking play the game. Well, I don't care. I don't want to see someone just playing the game. I want to hear what you think about the game. Is this a shitty game? Is this a game that's interesting to you? Would you recommend that other people buy this game? Or, a lot of the times you go to these stupid review websites and all these schlubs have been fucking paid off by these game companies.
There's a bit of this bitterness coming in already, isn't there? like maybe he's starting to talk about the commercialization. Or maybe I sound the same. You know, maybe I sound the same about the commercialization of the world that he loves, about the game. You know, he's saying he loves gaming, and now it's getting taken over by these other people. So, but already you start to see the. I think we all have to fight this. Again, this is a moment I should be making, you know, timestamps. This is a Steve moment where I'd like to unpack this with Steve. Is, you know, I think we all kind of feel in some ways embittered a bit by life. Like life's a bit unfair. Like, why do I have to put up with this shit? Don't we? If we're not making Elon Musk money, you know, if we're not, and even people who are on the way up doing well still, you know, feel a bit backbitey and a bit this and that sometimes, don't they? So I actually try, you know, personally, not to be a cunt. You know, I try not to let my dissatisfactions, because I've been through depression, so I know which parts now I'm a bit more grown up. I know which parts of that depression speaking to me. You know, they describe it as being like a, you know, like a monkey on your back or a thorn in your side. You know, I know when that could be that speaking through me, when I need a bit more sleep or something. And rather than splurting out a load of, you know, negative shit and saying a load of, because I have been on streams saying things sometimes, trying to actually see the other side of the coin, be more empathetic, you know, calm myself down, look at the beauty in the world, the mental health, you know, it's all plays in, doesn't it? So yeah, so like it's hard sometimes. You're talking about algorithms in chat there as well, and like, for example, I could be on stream going, oh, fucking so-and-so's getting loads of algorithmic views, and like, I didn't get this and I did that, and like, why don't, you know, it's not fair, and like, you know, I deserve it. I don't feel like that actually deep in my heart. Like I said at the very start of this episode, I feel really lucky that, like, when you actually step back and look at things, when I start to feel these things, the other day we got angry on stream, I was playing Genshin Impact, I got salty because I lost to the boss, and the dog was barking, and when I went out to let the dog out the back, I didn't shout at the dog and say, fuck this and fuck that. I remembered that I'm so lucky to have a back door to open and a little doggy, and, you know, I'm so lucky to be playing on a computer and have a roof over my head that I take these things for granted, and actually I should not feel, you know, bitter and embittered about the world, that I should accept some of the things that are negative, because everyone has to accept negatives, and I'm not some super person that doesn't have to have anything bad in my life, and other people have got worse things happening in their lives, and so comparatively I should actually feel lucky, and I let all that settle in me, and I come back and I want to be positive is probably the word, but positive is a different word on the internet these days, isn't it? Oh, you know, I'm so positive, but like, again, using it without taking it for granted. I actually want to contribute to the world in a way that has some sort of value. Hopefully I'm doing it now, showing you that bitterness doesn't have to be something that compels you to create content, that to get it off your chest sometimes is okay, but to deal with it in a thoughtful way can actually open up other aspects of you that are better than that bitterness. So I see Phil here sort of becoming embittered, and I don't know why everyone doesn't use an ad blocker. Do you know what? I would actually use an ad blocker on my stream, because I don't want you to have to keep watching the adverts as part of the stream, but I'm afraid that if I download one, it will put viruses on my computer, and I don't want to have to pay for one, because I can't subscribe to anything else and pay for anything else. We have to borrow Netflix off my mum's boyfriend, off my stepdad. I can't afford anything else. But yeah, ad blockers would be good. Yeah.
You can tell when you get a game like Little Big Planet.
In his early career, DSP was finding success on YouTube and positive interactions with his fanbase, creating standalone videos just to interact with them. But as time went along, he started encountering some road bumps. As with any online presence, first road bump would be troll comments on his videos.
Oh, one more thing. All you idiots saying that I'm a morbidly obese, what are you, fucking stupid? No, I mean, I got a chubby face, I always have since I was a kid, but I'm not morbidly obese. Get the fuck out of here.
And this is like early days of YouTube as well. I had to learn about this. I got heavy trolled. I'm not going to use this as a platform to talk about anything like that, really. Like, not, what I mean is not my personal like grievances with people who trolled me, of which I have none. I just think like they should have just grown up, and then maybe they got the wrong end of the stick. And if they could no, when I say understand, I don't want to say understand it from my point of view, because I think that's like you don't understand. But I think if they saw the whole picture, they probably wouldn't have the ideas that they had. So it's a shame, but that's how it went down. Someone gave them different ideas, and they went with that other person's ideas and trolled me. They were wrong. I know they're wrong. So, you know, because I'm me. But yeah, so I've seen these things happen. I've felt these feelings. So initially I was actually there typing in like, no, fuck you, you're wrong. No, fuck you, you're wrong. This is wrong. And like on Twitter, I mean, it's probably still recorded. I don't delete anything, but I also cannot be asked to go back through my Twitter. It's probably all still there. Like I tried to reply to every fucking troll on Twitter, and then I had to like, it made me feel hot and anxious and upset and all these feelings. And like, you know, years down the line, if anyone says anything mean to me on a troll comment, just block them and delete it and just fuck it off, or leave it because I don't care. But to respond to it on YouTube like this direct, and you know, he's making mistakes here that people that like, now you can go on the internet and you can Google how to respond to trolls, and there's a whole load of it. There's a whole load of information. Now there's a cyberbullying, you know, division of the police. Now there's you know, times have changed, but back then again, Phil making mistakes, but you know, again, I don't critique him for making this mistake. I understand it as a human response to being trolled, but I don't think you should be on there responding to people in this way. I don't think it benefits you, and I don't think it, like, if a troll hears you responding in this way, it makes them think, oh, I'm part of the video now for a start, and that I've got to you. And like, and to be honest, some of the things trolls said to me kind of got to me. Not like, oh, they know me and therefore I should listen, but isn't it sad that some, you know, 14-year-old kid in America wants to say this to me? And some of the things they were saying were quite harsh. Like, and if they understood again in the wide picture, I don't think they would. Some of them these days would probably regret what they said. So I'm not going to beat them over the head with it, but like, this sort of feeding the trolls is not a good idea anyway. But he did it. Look.
You guys, that asshole who made some joke about me looking like a Rufus. Really, it's just some of the internet people just need to get lives, and you know, you got to deal with that when you get viewership like I do. So it's cool. People like to make jokes. People like to make fun. You have to understand that what I do.
His acknowledgement when
see, because he did that wrong. You know, I'm just going to pick it a little bit, but this is what we should be talking through with Steve. I think moments like this is that, like, he said, "Oh, it's cool," you know. But if it was so not a thing, why did he pick that particular comment and, you know, say I look like Rufus? I don't know who Rufus is, but you know, why did he say it? It obviously wasn't cool. And if it's not cool and you want to say it, then say it. Say like, that's not cool. I don't think that's acceptable. And like, personally, it doesn't, you know, kill me, but I don't like seeing it. I don't want that in my life. And for you to cause those feelings in me and gain benefit from it, it's not very nice. So I'm not going to say, please, can you stop? But you're just going to get blocked. And I don't think it's an acceptable way to behave. Like, that's a better way of saying it than, I mean, it'd be better if you didn't talk about it at all, because then it would go by the wayside and they just get blocked. But like, it's his, already you see these early stages of Darksyde Phil, don't you? See where this is going, isn't it? He's got attitude issues, he's got like personality issues.
Encourage the trolls to continue to leave comments underneath his videos to hopefully cause him to rage and react to the comments. PSP will go on to say the rage he has while playing video games is intentional and purely for entertainment.
It's cool. People like to make jokes. People like to make fun. You have to understand that what I do, especially my Street Fighter 4 game matches, is it's all for fun. It's all a joke. It's not always 100% ultimately fucking serious.
And there's another problem, because I think wrapped up in that is, you know, racism or sexism or homophobia, and you can't say that I'm just because I'm making a joke and I said fag and it's a joke. Like, it's not okay. Like, it's not okay. So I don't know what he's referring to specifically there, but if you are having to announce to your audience that they're not getting the joke, but actually the joke is fine, it's just that they're not getting it. There's a lot of that these days, isn't there, in cancel culture, on Twitter or this or that, comedians saying, no, you know, funny, I'm being funny, but you're not getting it, so the problem's with you, the audience, not me, the person making the joke. Well, I don't know about that, actually. I think if you actually step back and have a good look at it, doesn't matter what the content of your joke is in terms of racism, sexism or homophobia, if your audience is telling you your joke is not funny, then maybe stop telling the joke because it's not funny. Like, any other joke in your repertoire, you would just bin off because the audience didn't like that one. But for this one, you've got to turn it into a political point and say, no, you're wrong, the audience. I am funny and you're not understanding it properly. Now, I don't know about that, personally.
Kind of playing for the camera
camera because people like that. It's funny to make jokes, to complain about a joystick, to say there's lag when sometimes there isn't, or whether you can see it or not.
Oh, he just admitted to complaining about lag when sometimes there wasn't.
It's just funny, you know, just me sitting there playing a game. Wow, what's so fucking interesting about that? But me adding funny comments, jokes, things like that, ridiculous things that I just say out of nowhere, that's where the fun comes from.
So, like, he's explaining his USP there. I get that.
USP would go on to encourage people to click on ads so he would get some ad revenue, and encourage people to donate if they would like to get a shout out from him.
To entertain you in the future, please go to my partner channel, The King of Hate HD, and click on the ads that show.
So, yeah, got a bit of this.
Continue his typical videos. DSP would have his skits and include editing that was relevant to the topic he was discussing at the time.
So now he starts this bit of editing, like we said, like, you know, you see the world of YouTube change, so you need your content to adapt to move forward at the same time. Now, this is something important that happened in my life, is that when I was failing university, failing college, this was not fail, before I'd started to fail university, when I was only failing college, I had to stay on an extra year at college because I failed my A-levels and I had to retake them. And in that year, I didn't have so much heavy work to do because I only had to retake 2 of them. So I had a spare slot. And so in that slot, I studied media, and it gave me the groundwork for what I do today, like understanding the media and how we're producing it. I think one of the great mistakes that any content creator makes is to ignore that facet of education. They'll learn how maybe to use a camera because that's available on the internet. They'll learn maybe, you know, in our media course, we learned how to use photography, you know, aperture and stuff like that, ISO, and how to actually, back then we were actually printing actual photography, you know, in a dark room. So I didn't use digital cameras. But, you know, I learned all these aspects of media production, but I also learned the theory, the ideas, how to edit, not how to edit mechanically, but why to edit and choices. You know, I learned about film production through the ages, the history of film production, who was producing film and why. And, you know, this is a full media course, isn't it? So you learn all about how to create media. Then when I started doing YouTube, I had that bit of background of how to create a bit of media. I'm not fucking David Cronenberg. I'm not like Ridley Scott. But I know a few things as standard that certain media producers have to learn. Phil is not a media producer. He's in the world of media as a media producer, but he is not an educated, trained media producer. He's someone who put a camera on his telly and started yammering. So he's got to learn. But there are things that if you don't go and learn, you don't know and you just miss out on. So I think he falls into that trap a little bit. And I think a lot of content creators do. And I think that there's a lot of information out there that they could find without having to go to a college course. But like learning these things in the educational setting really helps. And then some of them do it naturally. Some of them are just good at it. You know, some of them are just good at it. But there's a lot of really interesting content out there about how to make content these days. So all that stuff that was in the media studies course is now broken down into YouTube videos itself, I imagine. But yeah, it's interesting to see Phil going through this process. Again, I would suggest he should have just got an editor, a good one, and he'd have gone from strength to strength. But
he would even have an intro that would have credits to all the people that was involved with the project. These small changes would signify DSP's efforts to improve his content as he attempted to become a professional YouTuber in the early days of YouTube. As DSP branched out into more content, he would slowly start including...
And again, this is a mistake, isn't it? Trying to become more professional, but not realising how unprofessional you look. For example, doing a segment in your kitchen, but we'll put this statue here and we'll have this here and we'll have that in the background. But it looks like you're in your fucking kitchen. These days, even streamers like me have lights, and I'm in a set. I'm not in a set, I'm in a room which is my set, which is a green screen behind me. But, you know, you have your set. You don't just have the fucking kettle out. I fell into this trap as well. I made content in my kitchen with the kettle out. But when you're watching a television program, they don't have their fucking kettle out and they're not in the kitchen. So if you're going to move into a more professional realm of content creation, the minute you step up from amateur hour, and everyone accepts that you're just in your kitchen because it's amateur hour, the minute you start to put a bit of production value in and behind it, you have to start thinking, look, what are they comparing this to? Because in the real world now, MTV have got a YouTube channel. So, like, I know that I'm not going to produce as good content as MTV, so I should have had a shave. Really, I'm being a hypocrite here, but I've tried to, like, I've cleaned up something. Like, I can't create a very superb MTV set, so I've just completely eradicated it, and I've got some lights, and, you know, I'm refined enough to sit in a place on YouTube which you would say semi-pro. Like, obviously these days you don't expect to compete with the big productions, do you? Like, I can't expect to. So there's even like a different echelon of YouTuber. But back then there was pro YouTubers, pros, and people at home. And Phil trying to step into the world of either pro YouTuber like PewDiePie's, Markiplier's, and people like that, or pro at home or pro. He's not doing it. He's thinking he's doing it. He might have got a light, but he's not like seeing the big picture here, is he? And he's not seeing how this stands out as like how it doesn't stand out when someone else is doing something more professional with a higher frame rate or with a better camera or with even a team of people. Because the minute you start wanting to do something a bit more professional, you need a team. You need someone else to hold the camera. You need someone else who knows about cameras to get the right lens on, and you start editing together different shots for different reasons. He does go there. He does approach this in some of his content, but again, we'll see how it doesn't quite, match up to his vision maybe. And the reason it doesn't match up to his vision is because he doesn't have the vision to understand what it is he should be matching up to. But a simple thing here would have been to clean everything up for a start. Get rid of those books and everything. To choose the most neat part of the kitchen as your set, yeah, and maybe put up a background or something if you need to cover up something that you have to. Like, you do your best, but he's not even done his best. He's just like, camera there, kitchen here, light, right, go. Like, why do you need the books in shot or the kettle? Can you move the microwave? Well, it's a microwave. I'm in the kitchen. Yeah, but you're not in your kitchen. You're presenting a media product. I've got all your coats and hats in shot there. Can you just go and get the coats off the coat hook? No, right. Well, let's make the shot tighter so we lose the coat hook. Do you know what I mean? There's like little things like that. The ceiling here has got light fixtures, so getting the light and saturation right can help even low quality streams look so much better. Yeah, that's right, Roger. You're right. Yeah. Little things you can control, you do control, and the things that you can't control, like even a white background would look better than all this cluttered shit. I don't know what this particular stream was. Maybe it's something to do with his kitchen, but you see what I'm saying? He's not trying to be more professional and actually being more professional are two different things. And whilst I'm not coming from a position of trying to be super professional, I'm saying that he is, and he's failing, and that's a mistake because of his inability to perceive the world, I believe. Again, this is flagging the map for a Steve moment. I hope someone's noting down the Steve moments, because we could ask Steve about this. Is how I'm really interested in it, because I'm a fucking streamer. I might be failing myself. I might be doing a Darksyde film. It's in the same way as I showed you that other lad who was teaching you how to use your stream, how to set up your stream and use your stream deck, getting loads of views. I think if we can look at the psychology behind streaming, we could all learn something, including me. I'm selfish, but I'm only joking. I mean, I'm obviously not trying to have a shave and be, welcome to the professional hour, but this is all interesting to me, all interesting.
His friends, most notably John Rambo. DSP met John Rambo during his fighting game community days and developed a friendship with him as they practiced in Street Fighter. John Rambo would become a regular and fan favorite on DSP's channel as he would come over to DSP's condo and do Hateful Truth reviews, play co-op game playthroughs, and even have their own series called The Smoke Guys where they would talk about wrestling events. DSP enjoyed talking about WWE professional wrestling events and playing WWE games as they came out. WWE would become one of Darksyde Phil's most favorite franchises as he would continuously go back to WWE games throughout his gaming career.
Interesting, isn't it? At the very start I said he was a bit like a wrestler. The King of Hate. His branding, his style at that younger age. A bit like trying to come across as a character, a heel.
Another piece of content DSP would create was Project 7, a web series where he would be held hostage by an...
See, now here we go, look. There's a bit of editing. There's a bit of camera work. See how immediately, and even though it's dated now to use this green screen and a bit of, computer graphics, which back then would have looked really sharp. Today, everyone can access that for free on an app, but still, that looks much better, doesn't it? You've made the effort, and it looks better.
His death face and be forced to play games he hated. Project 7 was filled with intentional tropes and painfully self-aware humor as DSP made fun of beloved games by the gaming community that he ended up hating. This would be reflective of his time in his fighting game community as the...
So I'm just going to pause this because Viking says, I helped set up ADSL high-speed phone line broadband when it first came on the scene, and it was all brand new, and there were no long-standing experts. Wow, I remember that ADSL. Hang on, the dog's going nuts. I remember that though, and it was a... what's going on out there. Just went in the lounge and the dog was just sat on the sofa barking at Britney Spears. Got Britney Spears on the telly, he's barking at her. Yeah, like, you left that scene in 2008, nothing much has changed. Like, it was all so complicated, wasn't it? I remember, like, just even getting onto the internet was a chore in itself. I couldn't work it out. If I couldn't work it out, my parents weren't going to do it for me, so.
King of hate because he would like to go against the majority opinion.
You know what? The joke's on you, buddy, because I ain't playing this fucking piece of shit again. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Grammarly makes...
They put an advert in the middle of that, which annoyed me, but that was actually a cut between, like, they edited something. They got somebody who knew a little bit about, you know, see how he's, like, stood up. They've sewn the shots together. He's going to stand up and go to the door. I mean, it's a bit of a bad shot because you cut his head off, but, like, and you've got the back of the telly in it, which you don't need all that. But, you know, I'm not here to critique the media as such. Like, look, he's gone to the door. This is an edited piece of media they put together with him as the focal point of the content. That makes so much sense when you consider the journey he's gone on. Semi sort of notoriety turned into sort of popularity. I'm saying sort of because we're talking about YouTube phenomena. We're not talking about, I mean, some YouTubers got huge, didn't they? But you have to be able to move beyond YouTube into a wide, a mainstream audience position. You know, you have to leverage your YouTube success into something else. You can't just say, I'm big on YouTube, job done. Like in the big world of like Justin Bieber and people like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so, but that's what he's doing there. He's doing exactly the right thing there. Getting a bit of crew together, having fun, using him as the focal point of the content, creating edited content, which you now look at what Jake Paul and people like that did. You know, the Mr. Beasts, you've got a crew of friends, you know, your crew, and you've got within them, of course, you've got somebody writing a script, you've got somebody coming up with ideas, you've got, you know, people taking the weight off your shoulders for content creation. Today's script is we're all going to be doing XYZ, like getting a sperm test or something of, you know, whatever videos they do, or like hiding from sharks in the ocean. Oh, it sounds great, right? Okay, right, camera people, you got all your stuff. This is our script for today. This is what the points we need to hit that we're going to want to see in the edit. And right, we need you to deliver the first lines, go. And then, like, it looks organic, it looks like they're all having fun, but it's semi-scripted. And then we've got our edit together, and that's on YouTube, and then we're doing the same thing the next day. Do you know what I mean? That's how the big YouTube successes were made, out of like Jake Paul and people like that, was building on their initial popularity as and notorieties, getting a few virals, but using a team to present them as, like, it's much more like a it's much more like reality TV, just for YouTube, isn't it? So that's not. I mean, I know, of course, YouTube's a varied, complex beast, and you can be big with videos of you making cups of tea. You know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, this specific way I'm describing. But for Phil and his style of content, that's where it should and has sort of gone.
You're out of my fucking porn collection. I gotta get rid of this shit. Delete. You're not getting this, buddy. This took me fucking 5 years to save up. This is mine and mine alone.
DSP would also do interactive content such as friend requests, ridicule, where he would publicly make fun of fans that would send him friend requests because he explicitly said not to send him any requests.
It's from a guy named Hobo Monkey 3, and he sends me a voice message. Let's see what he said. And look, he did invite me to be his friend, going against what I've said on my page and in my videos. But let's see what he has to say.
Hey, please put me on your friend list or whatever. Please, I love your videos, and
Interesting that it's younger kids that are coming through on the voice thing there. So I would imagine that, you know, when we're talking about like the Xbox generation now, who are, again, this is another leap forward in technology that we're just sort of absent-mindedly going through. But now you've got voice messages on your Xbox where you're linking up as friends, and, you know, he's still playing Street Fighter. He's also playing other games. But we're in a modern world now again, aren't we? We're a new generation of gaming kids who are looking up to someone like Phil and seeing him as someone who's got all the kit. He's on the YouTube with the views. He's playing games all day. You know, he's living the life. He's not boring. He's not asking you to do your exams. He's not, you know. So again, it's this teenage boys peer group thing, isn't it? And he has some sort of status at this point. and the younger kids are looking at him with some sort of status.
Sense of humor. This is for comedic purposes only. Pretty comedic. Over the course of 2010, whether if it was in my real life or, you know, on vacation, or maybe possibly modifying joysticks, or working on Howard Super Turbo cabinets, or even in some of my playthroughs on DS.
Right, so then we've got a problem with racism. Like we talked about it before, him saying these words. I'm going to just skim over the actual like racist bits because I don't want any racism on the actual stream. But he says racist things. Remember at the start I said I would never say the N-word, and he's in a community of people who have said the N-word to each other. This conversation goes around a bit, I think. I'm going to skip over a bit of that. But, you know, he's in some controversy about childish and... racism isn't just childish, but you know what I mean, like childish and racist and homophobic slurs. He's in a bit of a, you know, he was in a bit of a controversy around that, maybe.
He did because he was so scared of YouTube deleting his channels again.
What's up, everyone? It's DSP. If you're seeing this video, more than likely you know what's going on. I used to have a channel on YouTube called Darksyde Phil. Extremely popular, had over 76 million views, had just about to hit 60,000 subscribers, and then YouTube shut me down. They didn't give me any reason why. They basically just completely shut me down. They won't let me log back in. They won't give me a chance to get reinstated, so to hell with it. I decided to make 2 new channels based off of this. This is DSP Gaming. This is the channel where you're going to see game-related footage that's not Street Fighter. So any kind of a game where I'm doing a playthrough or maybe a game review, some co-op.
No, he doesn't seem too bothered about this having his channel shut down. Obviously, it was about racism and it was about slurs, and YouTube have obviously gone through a bit of a schism at that point and decided that, you know, they were changing their platform for the better, and he's been cut by, but he seems to be okay with it. I think it feels bigger than it, like he's got enough popularity to just ride this out. He does continue, of course, he does continue.
Gameplay with some of my friends, things like that. This is the place to go. I might end up doing separate channels for every game that I do, because as you saw, I did a playthrough of Final Fantasy 13. I made a brand new channel to do that. It's called Darksyde Phil FFX111, which is Final Fantasy 13.
And it's funny he's even suggesting doing separate channels for every game. Like, that's a ridiculous thing to do. Anyone that understands YouTube now would say ridiculous. Has he not got an agent, a marketing team around him at this point? Is it all still just organic Phil? Because I think that's cool in one way. Like, I've never wanted to play the game of, like, you know, some of these people who become popular on YouTube, they get someone talking to them in their messages, oh, I'm from this partner program, I'm from this agency, and we're going to help you do, you know, X, Y, Z, and then you know, partner up with them, and then you're sort of like, again, talking about that homogenization thing, but also talking about marketing and ad friendly and stuff like that, you know, and they will tell you, you know, how to upload when are the best times, when are the, you know, they'll know this marketing stuff, won't they? So they'll tell you it because they want you to help them bring in some money. It's interesting that he's going through these questions in his mind, just like off the top of his head in this video. Like, imagine having a separate channel for every game you played.
And I had no problems. I had some copyright claims, I disputed them, and I was fine. So maybe from now on, that's what I need to do, as stupid as that sounds. Maybe if I put
DSP did not go through the plan of creating a new channel for every game he played due to the amount of labor it would take for any content creator to do that. After the creation of his new accounts, he did not have trouble with YouTube for a while, but in 2010 he would face bigger troubles than just having a channel deleted.
It'll be the most honest video I've ever made. It's going to be shooting from the hip, but I'm also going to be very careful what I say, obviously for legal reasons.
So I'm just going to switch back over to the dark side, fall down the rabbit hole at this point.
But Philip would not have this revenue stream for long.
Seeing like a different angle, because he said this down the rabbit hole, Phil said it's not up to scratch, but you know.
Once his AdSense account was approved, he began requesting that his viewers interact with his videos more, strongly implying that viewers should click on ads in an effort to increase his revenue. What he wasn't aware of was that asking viewers to click on ads was disallowed in the contract for AdSense, and so his account was banned, meaning that he could no longer make money directly off of advertisements for any of his videos.
So he broke terms of service. It might not have been a racist slur thing, you know, it might not have been strikes like that, like I just said. I might have been wrong there. I was just assuming that for what was pictured on that video, but maybe this video is saying he got banned. So he began uploading his videos to Blip TV, a competing video service, and received a partnership offer.
However, he was banned from the site for making numerous anti-Semitic jokes.
Uh-oh.
This is what happened.
Okay, I'm not gonna... thankfully, I'm covering this on the screen. So he's mentioning, you know, he's doing a Hitler impression in space in this game, and he's anti-Semitic. So that got him binned off, and then he's back now with another
managed partner. By allowing Machinima to place advertisements on his videos under their AdSense account rather than his, he could continue making money through videos on YouTube as a full-time career.
So now he's teamed up with Machinima.
So I created 2 new channels on YouTube. The first channel is called DSP Gaming. This is my active channel for video game playthroughs. On the other side, if you're a really big fan of fighting games and competitively playing these games, you're going to want to head over to my channel DSP Street Fighter. It's actually looking like this is going to...
And that sounds like, you know what I was just saying about, you know, content and his ideas. Looks like Machinima have said to him, you do this and you do these 2 channels. You don't do a channel for every game, you idiot. You do these 2 channels. So it seems like that's what they've said, isn't it?
Work out, and this is going to be something I'm going to be able to do as a full-time occupation, at least for the short term. And as long as this works out over the next course of this year, it may be something I can do in the long term, which is excellent. So...
Despite Philip's optimism, things would not stay so simple for long. Over the course of 2011, Philip would find more and more viewers, but many of his older fans would begin to sour towards him.
Okay, I'm going to go back to King of Hate, because I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we got these reasons he was banned for the first time,
because
right?
of what's going on right now. And I really don't know where I'm going to go with it. This is actually take 2, because take 1, I really just rambled on like a fucking moron and didn't know what I wanted to say. But basically... as you know, past few years I've been making videos on YouTube, and this has always been my side thing. This has always been my hobby, my, you know...
This is kind of where it starts, where the end game for Phil starts. So I want to take note of this moment as well. I should really be time-stamping this video, but this is another Steve moment. He's lost his job. You know, he had a side job, you know, he had a job, and then he was doing this YouTube thing on the side. Now he's lost this other job, and YouTube... Well, I don't know if he lost this other job or walked out or whatever. I mean, I don't know. He's telling me he lost that job, and YouTube is now going to become his full source of income. But at the same moment, it's become his full source of income because he's doing really well at it, and he's been offered a partnership with Machinima. So maybe he's said, fuck that job, I'm just going to do this. But the way he paints it is like, poor me, this is an issue, oh, I'm in trouble, and I'm just going to have to see where we go. And actually what happened was his audience rallied behind him and said, no, not poor you, we support you, like, we're going to help you. And that might have been a one-off thing, you know, to get him through this hard moment, but it turned into the rest of his life continually, as we'll see. But
thing that I do for, you know, free time, because I love video games, so I do video game playthroughs, comedy videos, game reviews, things like that. Well, bottom line is this: I went into work today and they laid me off, so I no longer have a full-time job. I'm unemployed, and this means a lot of things. Some good, some bad. I see both sides of every situation. I try to look at it and take everything with a grain of salt and understand. The thing is this, you know, it's easy to be very negative and say, oh, this is bullshit, America sucks, the economy sucks, they're laying everyone off, and I'm sure that a lot... And, again, I don't know if YouTube full-time is something that I'm definitely going to do. But if it is, I just gotta say, all you people on YouTube better fucking look out, because now you got someone who actually has time, you know, effort, talent, you know, and I'm gonna put it towards this, and if it works out, you're in trouble. You know, the days of fucking acting like a 5-year-old and editing your voice to sound like an annoying, high-pitched kid and going over the internet and somehow getting popularity, those days are over. Because talented people are actually going to now start to use this medium, and hopefully it will turn out to be...
That was a dig at PewDiePie, who had become popular and massively popular at this point, and Phil himself thought maybe he should occupy that top slot of massive popularity because he's not PewDiePie, he's Phil.
Something worthwhile rather than just a complete waste of time, which is what I've seen from a lot of these people. So that's that. I'm not going to go on too much longer, but obviously I got to get plugs in, especially now. And if you hate on me for trying to get plugs in when I get laid off, fuck you. Don't watch my videos. Go ahead and make a negative comment. I'll block you 10 ways from fucking Sunday.
In this trying time, DSP would thank his community and thank individual members of his community for helping him with his channel, but especially he wanted to mention how YouTube is really helping him keep together while losing his job.
Wow. I'm just like, I'm tongue-tied because... there's so many people right now who are going through this. It's not just me, you know. Everyone, like I said, has. Sometimes when I shoot from the hip and I'm honest, sometimes I overdo it, And so, you know, I might be reading a comment and someone leaves a negative comment. And sometimes it's really nasty. And let me just tell you, if you leave a really nasty comment on a video, you're getting blocked. I've said that 100 times.
So now he's still dealing with a lot of trolling. It's interesting, isn't it? The hateful one, you know, the king of hate, the position he occupies, the constant ripping on things in his videos, the derogatory slurring against other communities, which, you know, today is not acceptable. And he gets some sort of fight back, some sort of blowback against it. He calls it trolling. Maybe it's actual legitimate, you know, responses to his behaviour. We don't really know. We can't see these videos and comments, and I'm not really bothered to go and look into it. But just interesting that he's still, you know, in this moment where he's between these, he's embarking on his YouTube career full time. We'll say that. He's dealing with these issues, and he hasn't solidified a way to deal with them. Like, he hasn't accepted it and moved on or anything like that. He's constantly and troubled by, you know, dealing with these trolling issues, isn't he? So I'm going to switch back to Down the Rabbit Hole.
By this point, many other Let's Players had joined the scene, uploading their own gameplay with capture cards and screen capture applications. Compared to Philip's camera method, these other recording styles provided far higher quality of both video and audio. But even the hardcore fans who were used to his camera recording method were finding frustration with his attitude. Though it's difficult to gauge a precise widespread response, many commenters would complain about his inflated ego and his habit of blaming the game rather than himself an inordinate amount. When competing with others in online games, he would always degrade his opponent. If he won, he would profess his opponent's lack of skill, and if he lost, he would accuse the opponent of illegitimate tactics, or he would complain of faulty controls.
That's called cheating, and that's what everyone does online, which is why you shouldn't fucking play online. Yet you keep asking for me to do it, so I gotta do what my fans want, so hope you enjoyed this real shit-fest session I had tonight.
This last complaint may have merit, as his temper would often manifest as abuse of his equipment.
This is fucking bullshit! Move, asshole!
Philip would also become belligerent on his social media. For example, when game reviewer Mitch Dyer posted a review for IGN with which he disagreed, he attacked Dyer for not providing an objective review, and after the argument, Philip posted a vlog onto his King of Hate HD YouTube channel attacking him further.
And he just got all offended that, like, I told him that I work full-time on YouTube. Like, okay, jealous much? That's what I should have said. Jealous much? But anyway...
He also would attack other YouTubers, notably PewDiePie, iJustine, and Tobuscus, each for different reasons. While his former fans claimed that this was a changing character, Philip's detractors would point to these things as already existing issues becoming more evident. In light of these problems, Philip's viewership and therefore his livelihood began slipping.
We're talking about big numbers though. 5 mils, 10 mils. We're talking about someone who thinks they're a pretty big cheese. He's mentioning these people, PewDiePie and these other content creators, because he believes he's in their echelon, or at least should be voiced in their echelon, should be in the conversation with them. And his displeasure is in their success at content he sees has no value. And let's be fair, let's be a little bit fair. I'm sure we've all been there a little bit, haven't we? Have you not seen the latest pop music? Do you not think it's shit? Have you not seen Coldplay doing a tour with their piano, and would you not think that was shit? Have you not seen the fucking idiots making shit content on YouTube with 1 billion views? They're not shit. That's that bitterness I was saying earlier on, isn't it? Do you remember earlier on in today's broadcast I was saying about this bitterness thing, that like it's a different world for different people, it's a different consumer group, it's a different market. It's not when I was 14 what I liked. I'm not 14 now, and like maybe it's not just for 14-year-olds, whatever, but Phil's take on these things being popular in society is, this is not right, I should change it, attack it, I should, you know, voice these. Maybe there are actually people who even agree, you know, that PewDiePie's a load of shit, that, like, you know, I'm not some kid, I'm not interested in that. But it's the way that, again, this is a Steve conversation. I think this is a bit where Steve could come in, isn't it? You know, Phil's perception on this world around him and his place in it. Like, I can understand where he, like, I can see, not understand. What I'm trying to say is that I can get a feeling for where he comes from with that attitude, but I'm surprised that he would make videos like that. it's like something you think when you're in a bit of a cross mood, or when something doesn't take your, like when you're displeased by the state of the world. You know, it's like being angry at Vladimir Putin for invading Russia, but I don't start making videos about that fucking Vladimir Putin when I'm angry about him. And I see these things, I'd watch the news, I'd, hear the radio, someone says like, I end up feeling like an old person who's like, oh, when I were a lad, the music were better. You don't have proper music in these days. Oh, when I were a lad, YouTube were better. I just sort of throw that off and say, oh, actually, well, silly, isn't it then? Silly. It's like, I'll tell you what it's like as well with boxing. There's these YouTube fights, and some of the boxing fraternity say, oh, you can't have YouTube people doing boxing fights. It's not proper boxing. It's a load of shit. And where in reality, Jake Paul's selling more tickets than them. What are you going to do? It's just life. It's like, you can't be angry about someone else's success. Okay, he's not the better boxer, but his boxing show is doing better than yours, and you're bitter. And then when you start saying it's not proper boxing and it's a load of shit, you still bitter, don't you? So, who's going to live in what world here? Are you going to live in your lemon juice bitter world where you fucking cum lemon juice, crying vinegar tears, cumming lemon juice, bitterness. No, you've got to let that shit go. Even if the chart music is not to my taste and I prefer things. Oh, you didn't write that music yourself, did you? Didn't you? Oh, did Blackpink not write their latest track themselves? No. No, did they not play the instruments? No. No, they didn't. But is it going to be fucking massive? Yes. Yes. Am I right to tell everyone that enjoys Blackpink and their new song that they're fucking wrong because they didn't write the music? No. 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 It turns out writing your own music and being a singer-songwriter in that aspect, writing the music, if it's important to you, then you fall into a smaller niche that's not the mainstream. The mainstream doesn't give a shit who wrote the song. They just like it on the radio. There you go. So you were talking to each other in chat, which is fine.
Between November of 2011 and April of 2012, he would drop from nearly 13.5 million monthly views to 5.3 million.
That's quite a big drop, and also it states a number of you don't know as a media producer whether that. I mean, he might think I've not changed and everything's the same, so why are they? Or he might think it's the algorithm, or he might think it's other people are stealing his views for being more popular, or it might be that he feel like he doesn't understand that he's changed, and that, or maybe his audience have changed and he's not. Maybe if he doesn't change but the audience does, they grow up and, oh, I used to like Darksyde Phil, but now I'm not 14 anymore and I don't make jokes about these same things, and he still does. There's all sorts of complex reasons why that could happen, but it could be that he just turned bitter and started being a cock. I mean, I don't know.
A drop of over 60%, after which his viewership continued to slip in a downward trend for the rest of the year. Things got even worse for him after Machinima renegotiated his contract later in the year, reducing his pay. Why this occurred is uncertain, but there is speculation that it was because of his diminishing viewership and the belief that it would continue to decrease. Philip, in large part, believed his viewership issues to be not because of his content, but rather because of changes that were occurring in the back end of YouTube.
There you go.
He argued that YouTube was changing to accommodate viral content while simultaneously hurting who he called the little guys, whose content was being deprioritized, and it was this deprioritization that was to blame for his decreasing viewership.
So what you then do is you create viral content. It's hard to argue that the platform I'm on is changing, the marketplace is changing, and I'm going to refuse to change with it. Instead, it should not change. So the world owes me because it's fucking changed, and I shouldn't have to change. Therefore, come on, you owe me. Sort YouTube out. No, silly, isn't it? I mean, they're quoting from, they're saying that's their perspective on Phil. I'm reacting to their perspective on Phil from the Down the Rabbit Hole. Phil says the Down the Rabbit Hole's not that legit, but...
Many of his fans and all of his detractors, however, were unconvinced that this was the only problem, if it even was one. Many indicted him for his inflexibility, an argument bolstered by his adamant refusal to alter his content production or release methods. Sometime over the course of 2011, Philip had started dating a woman named Liana Hongen, known better by the pseudonym Panda Lee. While Philip's fanbase seemed generally happy that he was now in a relationship, there was a subset who weren't so enthused.
I'm going to dip back to the other one. This is... I've got too many videos open now. Okay, so King of Hate Part 3 we need to get to now. King of Hate Part 3 is a 2-hour one. So things get a bit long here, yeah?
When you
And
look at the black and white...
I'm not going to go that long with all this. Like, we're trying to do a background on Phil so that we can talk about him on stream with Steve. And if anyone says, oh, who's Phil? I can say, we'll refer to our background on Phil thing, because we're covering some... Look, there's Panda Lee in this story here. The catalyst of hate, they call her. Success slipping away, the king of finances, the month of rants, erosion of fans, detractors rise up. So there's a lot of different points here. The Down the Rabbit Hole is going to cover some of the same things. But there's a few like bullet points that we really want to cover, don't we? So
Twitch's servers were unable to handle too much bandwidth, and so when Philip was streaming,
like these conversations about bandwidth and stuff are not that interesting, are they?
Of course.
Maybe.
To supplement his income, he began streaming on a new platform
here we
called
go.
Twitch, which offered an online venue for gamers to play games and interact with fans live. But even here, he couldn't escape trouble. He became known for banning and censoring people with negative comments, as well as berating and insulting his viewers.
Some people just aren't as intelligent. I don't even know what else to say, because if you're in my stream right now and you're whining and stomping your feet like a 5-year-old brat, you're just making yourself look bad. And it's funny.
Most egregious to his fan base was when his girlfriend Leanna derided the game Kingdom Hearts 2 in the chat section while Philip was playing it, and when the chat devolved into argumentation, Philip locked the chat so that only subscribers could talk.
So, you know, he's got his attitude, he's on Twitch. Yeah.
To handle too much bandwidth would not last. On June 24th, 5 months after the launch of his Patreon, Philip was swatted while he was streaming.
So now we're entering this world of, like, you know, the more modern world of streaming, aren't we? You've gone through the history of Phil. We've seen who he was, like a Street Fighter 2 tournament player who got popular on YouTube, and then YouTube popularity dwindled and other people took over, and that was sort of nearly the end of him. But instead of it being the end of him, he started streaming as well. So now he's got his position. Now we know where he is. He's a streamer who is not really that popular, has had his popularity, hasn't moved with the times or whatever in different ways, and is struggling now to sort of, you know, maintain this. There's a section here called Peak of Success. Look.
Negative comments. Despite his outbursts, DSP would consider 2012 being the peak of his career. He would consistently get views on his videos, begin a podcast called Hate Live, and accept callers so he could have fan interactions. He would also do tours of his condo, introducing fans to his home life, and also revealing how much money he's been spending on various products such as gaming statues.
I can't believe this. I've just seen this. So this is his condo, right? And that's the set, isn't it? That's the kitchen. He gets the camera over there on the right hand side, and he films this way towards the kitchen and has all the kitchen in the background. What the fuck are you doing? That other end is your set. That's the clean white wall. That's a clean white wall. Film that way, or this corner. Make this corner the set and put all this like these statues on a little stand. That's how streamers ended up doing it. That end's the set, isn't it? That clean white wall end, not this end with your kitchen in it. Anyway,
how much money he's been
I made the same mistake when I did one of my things. So I used my kitchen as a set once. So, you know, we're all guilty of it.
spending on various products such as gaming statues. DSP would also attend conventions.
Well, there you go. That's it, isn't it? You want the other end as your set, not your kitchen.
With John Rambo, one notable one being MagFest.
Or, like I said, you just get a big white backdrop just to drop down there and you remove the kitchen.
At MagFest, he would announce the return of Project 7. Project 7 was initially a skit-based series that DSP did back in 2010 on his own. Fans enjoyed it, but it ended after a couple episodes. Now Project 7 is returning as a series with John Rambo and Howard, a friend of DSP, and some of Howard's friends behind the scenes doing editing and special effects. Behind the scenes, there was a lot of time and effort put into this iteration of Project 7, especially from Howard's friends doing the editing and special effects. DSP fans would love this series, and specifically they would love John Rambo, making it known in the comment section that he was the fan favorite of the series. But Darksyde Phil did not feel like he was receiving enough credit from fans regarding his contributions behind the scenes for Project 7 and his contribution to the John Rambo character. DSP wanted it to be known that he contributed to the character and it was a group effort, not just John Rambo.
One thing I would like to say, which really pisses me off, and this is not me trying to badmouth John Rambo in any
I'm just going to quickly take a bathroom break while he, carries on ranting a little bit here. So,
way, but in Project 7, this series so far, John Rambo's character in the series gets a lot of the funny parts. He's supposed to be like the deadpan comic that all of a sudden does crazy shit or does silly stuff, and it comes out really funny. And I want to let everyone know that we've been seeing comments on the videos that are kind of stupid, uninformed, and disheartening. Things like, oh, DSP sucks and Howard sucks in this series. It's all about John Rambo, John Rambo, John Rambo, you know. And that's true. A lot of the funny stuff was given to John Rambo. But here's the deal. We all write the episode. Just last week, myself, Howard, and John Rambo got together here in my condo, and we all collectively together put our heads together and wrote all of episode 4 of Project 7, okay? It's a group effort, and it evolves over time. In fact, a lot of the funniest stuff kind of just becomes improv, stuff that we didn't... There's a scene in episode 3 that you're going to see. You're going to piss your fucking pants laughing when you watch it. I shit you not. And you're going to know what scene it is when you see it. And it was completely improv by Howard, by OJ, by a couple different people on the fucking spot. So for people to say, oh, this one person is completely the funniest person, you're a complete fucking idiot. You don't understand the creative process of how this stuff comes together, the fact that we all put our heads together and write it.
So we've got ego problems again, haven't we? We've got big ego problems, and we're about to get into the greatest hits. Because DSP's, like, you know, worst moments are still yet to come. So he's got ego problems. Again, we've seen this move in the media, haven't we? We've seen an actual shift in the quality of content creation, and he's not kept up. We're now on Twitch, you know, we're now in a different world. He's still not keeping up, but he's angry when things, like, angry at people for liking other people more than him. You know, angry at certain... Like, he presents this bitterness in his content again, doesn't he? And I want to go back to the point where I said, like, I also have felt bitter about things in life and had to deal with those feelings, and maybe sometimes I've even made content where that's crept in. I guess in the ASMR world I would be accused of... I'm not going to pick up any particular incident, but if I had a dissatisfaction with maybe ethics or people's reasons for doing things and the way they present their content, like, I would actually just say it. So I don't know, like, you know, you still talk about modems. Yeah, there's one fad after another, hasn't it? The internet moves fast, doesn't it? And Phil's got to maintain this, like, he's trying to almost maintain... This is what's kind of strange as well, isn't it? It's like Phil's trying to maintain this consistency insofar as he's not going to move. Still on that sofa, still got the camera, we've still got the, you know, the attitude, we're still a Street Fighter 2 player. Like, if you don't... It's almost as if you become so almost like fossilized because you've missed so many steps of movement, and I feel like that myself now, and I wouldn't try to enter the same ballpark as like any kid of 18 who's, you know, coming into media production on YouTube has got a different set of ideas, because the things they've seen when they were growing up was so different to me that I can't even, like, I can't fathom how Minecraft tubers got big, let alone the fact that the people who were the big Minecraft tubers are now grown-ups in their own right, have left that behind. Like, I'm only just catching up with the concept that it was big. You know what I mean? Like, you miss, and you're not expected to, as a developing adult, maintain your grasp on teenage culture, are you? But like, maybe in gaming he feels he has to. I don't know. There's some really interesting stuff here, though. Like success slipping away.
You realize you're only in it for the money, and that's it. Time to make free money. Let's do it. Let's open a gaming channel because it's the most popular thing. And all of a sudden, your major fan base from your main channel comes over to your gaming channel, and everyone watches it because, you know, they're already your hardcore dedicated fans, even though your videos suck, you're not funny, and you're not good at gaming, okay? I know people are going to say, Phil, you're hypocritical because you're not great at gaming. I never said I was great at gaming. I never, ever touted that.
Like, this is a really interesting thing as well, because sometimes on stream I will talk about our content creation. I make lots of mistakes. I'm going to say that I make mistakes, and sometimes I'll talk about things as if they're content when actually what they are is important to me. Like, we did a stream the other day where me and Snips talked about some stuff. Nigel has also helped me, you know, choose a camera. They're important to the stream they're part of my content when I'm talking to people about them. But if I were to say what are we making content about today, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to tell everyone about the content I'm going to make. Job done. Now, what? You're going to talk about content as if it's content? Yeah, I'm going to be talking about my feelings about other people's content, and you could do that as a show. There was Content Cop by iDubbbz, wasn't it? What do you mean? Who's iDubbbz? Oh, it's even today's generation would think of him as a dinosaur. Like, there are ways of doing things. Yes, content can be content. Yes, but accidentally slipping into the mistake of thinking you're so that important to everyone that they want to hear your thoughts on, like, just make the fucking content. Make the content. Me talking about, and I'm doing it here because I'm able to do it as a reflection on Phil. This is now our content, and I did say this as well. I'm being a bit selfish with this one because sometimes I hope to learn some things for myself, and I'm sure I make some mistakes that everyone might make, or even Phil. I'm not going to say that I'm like so much better than another human being. I think I've made mistakes as well. Maybe not in the ballpark as Phil. Maybe not in the same. Maybe not to the same scale as Phil, but we're going to see a few of them coming up. But I'd like to learn how to make better content. So we will discuss these things hopefully with Steve. But this aspect of it for me is interesting. That a lot of the times he's picked up on, they're not. This is not a video of him playing games, is it? A lot of the moments that we're going to pick up on, the negatives that are going to be in this video that have been edited together, like the evidences of his personality deficiencies, the repeating problems, they're going to come up because he's recorded himself saying it and uploaded it to YouTube or said it live on Twitch. Like, that's his decision to make content like this, isn't it? So that's interesting to me.
No, I'm a master level. The only game that I admittedly said I think I'm pretty good at is Street Fighter. Everything else, I'm just an average guy. And over the past...
And things get out of balance. Like, I remember we were talking about Martin Leitker and Jade, and we were talking about their issues that they were having. And there were people commenting, like Jade made a video about Martin Leitker, and there were people commenting on her video, who is Martin Leitker? I didn't even know this was happening, or vice versa. Martin made a video about Jade and people were commenting, who is Jade? I didn't know this had happened. And actually what they were doing was their audience was coming to look for a Martin Leitker video on Martin's channel, and instead they were being served a drama of controversy about this woman Jade, and they didn't even know who fucking Jade was. So instead of having to defend himself on the public platform against the things she said, he was introducing the public to the things she said, and that's against the objective, isn't it? So both of them realised that it's best just to take those fucking videos down, because you're actually digging yourself a bigger hole. Because a lot of the people that were coming to Darksyde Phil's content, if they liked his content, were not coming for him to rant about another content creator, or like there was probably a small minority, a more vocal minority maybe, of people that got into his head and made him feel like being defensive, and it turned into his content. And then all the wider 80% that enjoyed him messing about and playing games and making jokes, they don't want to hear him moaning about these people. He's changed the content. Like, it's so interesting, isn't it, in a way?
YouTube gain more competition in the gaming scene. Direct capture will become a standard practice for gaming videos. DSP...
Thanks for saying I'm not afraid to say what I think. It can become a problem sometimes if you say what other people don't like, though. But... hopefully I'm not, racist, or when I say hopefully I'm not racist, I know I'm not racist, or I feel free to talk about things on the internet and let my train of thought, stream of consciousness just come out, because I'm pretty confident I'm not going to, ruin my own life by saying something horrific, but because I don't think horrific things, I think, so, yeah.
Fans would criticize his method of recording a screen with a camera, and DSP would respond, explaining why he thinks it's better, and that he may consider going to direct capture eventually, but he prefers using a camera.
One last thing. A lot of people say, Phil, you have no excuse. Why don't you do direct capture? It would actually be easier than your current setup right now. And
I mean, he's still not updated that. Like, in the time I've been streaming, thanks to your donations, we've got a new computer, we've got lights, we've got a desk for the microphone, we've got a microphone stand, a little sofa and a chair over there where we're going to set up another camera for a little podcasting studio, which, things are just going to happen at their own pace. We've got, I'm sure we've got more bits of kit, haven't we? We've got an Elgato 4-gang capture card for the computer. We've got, that's HDMI, so it's like supposed to be 4K, but I'm not sure if I get my settings right. Anyway, we've got the Stream Deck, which isn't working today because OBS has been updated. I'm looking around the room at these things that I now own because I bought them to increase the quality of the stream. Do you know what I mean? Phil has said, right, this works, right, we're done. Like, he's not interested in media production. He's not interested in the quality of his content. So he's not paid any attention to it. And when people are actually telling him on his content, this needs an improvement, please, he's actually resisting it to the point where he's telling them they're wrong. So this is a standout moment for me as well, of how to allow success to slip away, is to drive it away and to ignore its, like, success isn't something that, like, he's got control of, is in his, like, I'm thinking of like an American cowboy with like balls in a pen. Like, these balls are not penned in. Like, you've got to ride with the balls. You've got to try and lasso one or two where you can, maybe, or, do you know what I mean? You've got to ride that white water rapids. Like, you can't just get out the river and say, right, I want the water over here with me now. Like, I'm not riding your fucking rapids, but you shouldn't be diverting that water away. These balls, they need to come out. Look, the balls are running the wrong way. They're telling me I need direct capture. Well, those fucking balls are wrong. I'm not riding with them. I'm going this way. Well, you just lost all your cattle. They've gone. Like, it's just like this refusal to actually do what is required to maintain the success is surprising to me, because he's in a position that so many people would have, like, you know, the amount of numbers he was doing then, I would feel so grateful if so many people wanted to watch our content. Do you know what I mean? And then my ambition is to make good content. I'm talking about the content thing again, but is to make good content for those people. And he's here saying, no, fuck you. Like, you know, if anything, you're wrong to want what you want, and shut up.
I respond, it's this simple. I want you to look at my setup. You see the size of my TV? You see the nice subwoofer surround sound speakers I have here? Behind me, the surround sound speakers.
That's nice for you, Phil. He's obviously doing all right, isn't he?
See them? You see that?
But living in the dark ages again, isn't he? Because who's got surround sound speakers behind their sofas these days? That was the 90s.
Most people who do direct capture, here's what they do. Here's their computer. They walk up to their computer and their tiny little fucking monitor, and they sit here and they grab a headset. Here's my headset for my computer. And they put their headset on their ears, and they're playing on a controller here in front of a small monitor, talking into a headset to get their commentary and having the audio of the game go through the headset.
So he knows what the industry standard would be.
That's not gaming to me.
Alright, that's not gaming to you, Phil. But to the audience that's consuming it, they're sitting on their sofas. You, as the content creator, have to provide the high quality gaming experience in that other way, don't you? You either adapt your setup, you get a better headset, a more comfortable chair, a bigger monitor, or what the fuck are you doing?
Okay. Gaming to me is sitting in your living room, here on your nice couch, relaxing. You got a nice drink in front of you. You're ready. You sit down. You got your surround
So that's your leisure time.
sound pumping. That's how these games are meant to be experienced. Why do you think that all video games now have 5.1 surround sound? So if you can experience it like that, that's how you should experience it. For me to have to do direct capture, I would have to run that headset across my living room, which, by the way, doesn't even fucking reach.
So it's this weird, like, argument that we're having now, isn't it? The content is now Philly's arguing with his audience about how to make content. And it's like this analogy of this restaurant, which I think about a lot, especially because I'm making content. Again, hands up, I'm making content. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Isabella. How could I have started trashing without you? We've not even started. This is just the introduction episode that says it's to introduce anyone to Darksyde Phil in one big episode with all the, you know, background, so that when we come to talk about him, I don't have to keep referring, oh, it might be on this video or that. I can say, look at our previous episode and I've covered it all there. And then hopefully we'll get Phil in to help me with some of these, Steve in to help me with some of these psychologies that I want to talk about. So this is another critical moment, isn't it? The fact that he's just like,
reach from my computer to here. I would have to do commentary through it, and I would have to have the audio of the game play through the headphones instead of my surround sound, because if I did use my surround sound and the headphones, the microphone would pick up the audio from the system.
Yeah, you have to wear headphones. It's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them. Well, it's imagine the newsreader saying, look, I'm not having this fucking earpiece in. You can fuck that right off. So you're going to have to hear the echo of the microphone, the resonant feedback, because I need a speakers because I'm fucking reading the news. So fuck you at home for thinking. I mean, what am I doing here? An earpiece? That's not what I do. I don't walk around with an earpiece in. I'm not having it. No, we're not having it. I don't want an auto cue. I would have to sit here and read the words off the auto cue. You can fuck that right off, right? We'll just have the words just right here in front of me here. It's not as good for you. They're in the way of my face. We'll put them here because I need to read them. They're in the way of my face. Well, you wouldn't normally get to see my face, would you? Because I'm reading. Right. Anyway, here's the news. Like, just what? Like the analogy I was going to make was of a restaurant. You go in a restaurant, the food comes out and it's fucking cold and it's horrible, and they say, "Oh, like, but I'm back there. My cooker's not working properly." You know, most people cook on a big gas cooker, don't they? Big gas cooker. No, I'm just in there with a microwave, mate, like a normal person. So you're just gonna have to wait for your food because, like, a big restaurant would have fucking 6 people working in the kitchen. I'm not doing that. I refuse to do it. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm just cooking in a normal home kitchen, just in a microwave. So you either enjoy your fucking cold food or you fuck off. And like, people are just gonna say, "What? I don't need any of this. I'm just gonna go to the next restaurant where they just cook normal food. I'm just gonna eat that. Thank you. Bye." Like, even I've had this trouble on our stream where we had trouble with the internet. I'm plugged in at the wall today, so hopefully no trouble, but we have, you know, some technical problem. I'm only a smaller streamer. I feel really guilty because, like, and it's not guilty as such as well, but it's this issue of if people come to the stream and it's not good enough, then I can't say to them, "Sorry, Virgin Media fucked that up." Like, it's not my fault, it's the internet service provider. Come back next week when it's fixed. Like, that's not an advert for my stream. If you go in that restaurant and the food's not good enough because the oven's broken down, people are just not going to come back. The end. So you have to strive to do your best for people that are new, like in any form of business, because first impressions count. And if you're not trying to do your best to create high standards for your content, for your product, whatever, then like that's the first impression that comes across. I really should have a shave. These days it's a bit different on the internet, isn't it? There's a bit more of a wide spectrum of what's an acceptable level of quality, or you know, you might say, well, it's a podcast, so we're all just talking, so you don't really need important visuals. Are not as important. Like, I might say that I'm not like, you know, PewDiePie, so I don't have to have a shave because, like, you know, I'm not clean and buttoned down. And mind you, he said those things about Jews, didn't he? I don't know. I don't know much about PewDiePie, but anyway, the point is, you might say that, like, my sister once said, I said to my sister, maybe I should wear a suit on stream and like actually dress nicely and smart like I used to when I was a hairdresser. And she said, "But you're not a hairdresser, you're a streamer, and your look is that you're like a normal person, so that's fine." So, you know, maybe this, maybe that. Conversation you should have in your brain. In your brain, not on stream, and certainly not arguing with your audience.
And it would echo, so you'd be hearing double game audio, which you don't want to hear. So for now, direct capture is out of the picture.
So there's an aspect of it. The King of Finance's next section. I'm going to skip through this because it's a 2-hour video.
At the end of 2012, Machinima would renegotiate Darksyde Phil's contract, resulting in less income from effective 2013. He would make a video at the beginning of 2013 to address his fans to assure them that he was not broke, he's been saving all his money, and that the BMW that he bought is effectively saving him money in the long run.
The good news is this, okay? I'm an intelligent person. I'm a finance major. I went to school for finance.
Right, 2 problems, and I'm guilty of this myself. I like to tell everyone when I feel I have an authority on something and I can speak from a position of authority. Sometimes that will come out in the phrase, "I've got a reasonably decent education and I studied XYZ at school." And that actually makes me sound like a cock, because what it makes me sound like is I'm smarter than you and I'm better than you. That's not what I'm trying to say. But sometimes it comes out like that. I'm guilty of that. And Phil here, no one wants to hear the smartest guy in the room tell them that you're stupid, do they? No one wants to hear the smartest guy in the room tell them that they're stupid. So coming across like I'm fucking smarter than you and I fucking know better than you, and you know, he does this, makes these social mistakes with his content and with his audience, doesn't he? Like,
I knew day one when I started making money off of YouTube that I was going to bank it. I was not going to go out there and invest in.
And talking about money on YouTube, I talk about finances on our stream sometimes, insofar as we've got this tippy thing underneath me. Now, I have to say hands up when I'm guilty of things that we're about to start bashing someone over the head with, but I think it's a common norm in this environment to have that going on. But what I don't do is to sort of beleaguer and badger people into, like, you know, I'm not an e-beggar. That's just a simple way to say it. In fact, I've never said, can you please give me money for XYZ because of XYZ. Like, I'll produce the content, you tip me in, I'll use it to produce the content, we'll see how far we go. I'm never going to sort of be on stream saying, okay, we've done 3 hours now, so I deserve 30 quid. Who's coughing up? Like, you know, that's not how this works. But Phil's conversations about finances become a regular repeating theme of his content. And I don't see that as content. You know, I think you've got to get back to this. Okay, some people have like an online life in a way, where we talk about things on stream because we're on stream together all the time. But we also make some quite clear demarcation lines between this is content, I make content about video games and I'm talking, and this is my life. And we're not making a video about how I feel about my father. Do you know what I mean? Like that. These are different things. We can make a video about how I feel about my father. You can come in the room and talk to me if you want. Like, we can do these things if we make the conscious decision to make them content. But Phil's not like sat down and said, today's content is my financial woes, is it? Like, that's not supposed to be the content. That's not the premise of the content. So it's a really strange thing that it becomes this consistent theme.
Things that I couldn't get money out of. I wasn't going to go out there and overspend, as you've seen, even though comment. Now, I need you to understand that this means that, of course, there's going to be a lot of assholes who used to have trolling account already. There was the guy impersonating me, DSP Gaming, with 2 eyes, and he's saying ridiculous shit like, oh, give me money because I'm broke, and I mean donations and blah, 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 trying to be me and trying to make me look bad. There are still going to be people like that who are going to get blocked. But I am here to announce that effective immediately, I am no longer actively policing the comments on any of my channels.
So now we're doing all this, you know, this stuff again, comments. So now the year of hate begins is the next section. So I'm going to skip through the sections quite quick now, hopefully.
Despite his pleas for positivity, 2013 would be DSP's most negative year of his YouTube career. Evil AJ 2010 would return from his banishment and upload a video called This Is How You Don't Play in February.
So this was a critical moment. This is how you don't play. And this person edited his gameplay, the worst of moments. And that edit got more popular than Phil's content itself. So that was funny, you know, isn't it? Like, this is how you don't play.
It would be a montage of clips of
What? I didn't equip a chaff grenade. What the fuck? I went right to the gun and let go and it equipped a chaff grenade. Just kill me.
So this became a thing, and this, I suppose, like the way they called it, the year of hate begins. Let's switch back to the other one as well, down the rabbit hole. You know, getting swatted. We're talking about the rest of the internet sort of like creating a bit of backlash against him. This is another thing that I really want to like a light on. Again, when we get Steve of the Dead on, we're going to talk about these sort of things. There's a difference between a troll and what they call detractors, and it goes so far as to Kiwi Farms. Now, I'm just going to, I don't know if you should open up Kiwi Farms. I don't know if you should open it up on the internet, actually, should you? It's not going to have anything bad on it, is it? And here's an article about it. Let's talk about this instead. Cloudflare defends providing security services to trans trolling website Kiwi Farms. I didn't know they were a trans trolling website, so I'm glad I didn't just open it up. Company says it regrets past action against far right websites because some calls to move similarly against human rights sites. I don't know about Kiwi Farms. It's blocked in New Zealand for hosting the Christchurch terrorist video, and blocked in Australia for the same reason. I've got worries about it, yeah? But Kiwi Farms, maybe not specifically for Darksyde Phil, maybe there's other places, but there are websites set up where people go on and they talk about people that they troll, and they're like a community of trolls, except there's like this grey area that I'd like to discuss with Steve, where some of them say they're detractors, right? It sounds terrible, yeah, and I've said before it sounds terrible. I've said on our stream that Kiwi Farms is bad. I've said it before, so I don't know necessarily, because I would also say, like, for example, if I go to That Being Said podcast, which is a podcast about Darksyde Phil, where Steve himself and some other people come on and talk about their feelings about Phil this week and what he's been up to. Look, there's one with Steve on. They're a community of what they call detractors, Not trolls, detractors. And there is a difference, because it's like journalistic integrity. It's like Phil does something that legitimately he does, and then they like pull him up on it in public and say, hang on, you said the N-word here, or hang on, you know, did X, Y, Z. Like, the things he's done get pulled up in public and become the subject of content. So this content, if you search YouTube for Darksyde Phil, and that content is what we're watching now. You know, these down the rabbit hole videos and these other things, these Year of Hates, and like his live channel, he's on live now, like he's streaming now. Look, that's an advert. Sorry, excuse me. We'll just, you know, have to wait for the advert because Phil's getting the benefit out of me watching the advert. But Phil is live now on the internet doing his stream. I need to just wait this out because it makes the point. There's 2 adverts. You see, why would you put that on the front of your stream? Anyway, here he is. Look, he's live now.
In this cabinet. So, I want to buy the cabinet, and then I can actually stream it and show off it to everyone how these games are played. Nope. No, you can't. You can't capture from it. It's not possible. What? $600 and I can't capture from this fucking thing? I can do that with any other console. Nope, not this one. Not possible. What the fuck?
Right, he's having a bit of a rant about his cabinet.
Seriously, like, no, really.
He's having a bit of a rant about a Street Fighter 2 cabinet that he can't use direct. It's not even in HD. I mean, look at the quality of his camera. He's worried about streaming from a Street Fighter 2 cabinet. That's the least of his worries. But, you know, he's still being Phil. He's still there doing it right now, yeah? So there he is. That's Phil that we're building this picture of. He's still got his worst moments to come in our catch-up thing that we're watching, but he's still there doing it. But what's interesting is at the same time, there will be someone else restreaming it. Because obviously he's done bad things, remember? He said these words in public. He did that thing about the Jews that I didn't show you because we had to skip over because I didn't want a light on it. But, you know, he's been doing some bad things. If you look at, like, now, look, this is the restream, look. Dark Dave's Mirror. So the community of detractors, the people who don't like him, maybe people he's insulted, maybe the people he's banned, maybe whatever, they're here now live in a community watching him and reacting to in their community, like not on his channel, but on a separate channel, watching it from a different perspective. Yeah? From a different perspective. It's interesting, isn't it? The idea, we haven't got on to the final form of Phil yet. This final form is that he's constantly, you know, beleaguering his viewers for it. Like, he's got now a group of people who support him with tips and chats and stuff, and he's constantly badgering them for money and saying he's like e-begging all the time. And these people that detract or, you know, pick him up on his faults are mainly doing it, I believe. And again, something I want to ask Steve all about is I think they're doing it because they feel like there's a social justice being done, or injustice. Phil is providing social injustice in sort of bullshitting his way through life, blagging people, getting money for free off the internet when he doesn't really deserve it, and spending it on bad things that maybe he shouldn't spend it on. And that they're doing the social justice of outing his grift to the world, in a bit like the way I say some of those Tartarians are grifting, and, you know, I think, you know, we should out them in the world, like, a bit like that. So that's going on, as well as all this other content, whether it be Destiny talking about Darksyde Phil, or other streamers talking about him, or you know, people making videos about him. Like, there's a lot of what they call detractor content. It's not positive content, you'll say that, yeah? But he didn't make it himself, and other people did. What are you going to call it? Is it trolling, or is it something else? Well, at the moment, we're calling it detracting, because they want to make a distinction between that and trolling. And so Kiwi Farms is an example of a website where people that do that get together and share their ideas. It's a forum. Now, I just showed you a thing that said it was bad. From what I see of Kiwi Farms, what I understand of it in the wider media, it bad. So I don't know about that. But I'm sure that some of these detractors that are not bad people, that are making decent content that has a socially ethical point of view, are actually, like, legitimately, you know, critiquing Phil's behaviour and showing it to be bad behaviour, and therefore showing some of the people that pay money, maybe you're, you know, maybe he's playing on your emotions, or maybe he's trying to scam you, you know, sort of thing. Maybe they are coming from a good place. So ethics and ideas are coming in now, aren't they? That being said, so that's why I want to get Steve on to talk about those things, because I don't have the answers to that. Okay.
Just kill me. How stupid.
So swatting is included. What's this? The month of rants next.
DSP would answer the question with a 20-minute rant. This would occur 2 weeks after he addressed it the last time, creating this habit of DSP constantly addressing negativity. During this rant, DSP would say that Evil AJ was both mentally ill and just jealous of his success.
And this is this consistent theme of when he does rant, he drops these accidental slurs, isn't it? Like, saying someone's mentally ill and, yeah.
Way. That's not what the stream is about, you dumbass. What an idiot. And the sad part is I used to talk to this guy on Twitter all the time. And, we used to have, intelligent conversations, used to contribute.
And then people start, going away from him.
Around at school, Applaud Kojima. It's a great game. Kojima World Order.
Well, that's right, because Kojima's a fucking cocksucker.
So every time he's getting, angry at games now, people are getting angry. I mean, he starts being angry at this guy Kojima, who is the designer of games that he doesn't like. And some people like those games, and he causes himself, an even bigger group of people who know. Now what he's doing is he's amassing this wider group of people on the internet who don't like him and his behaviour, who pick him up on it all the time and addressing it all the time, and it's becoming like this repeating theme in his content.
Myself, particularly on YouTube, that I would not address it. I would just completely ignore it, and we would just push ahead positively. And I've done that. I've done that for the past month or so.
DSP found that the message was extremely important to him, so he did not monetize the video once it was uploaded to YouTube. He would go on to address how there's a large number of former fans making videos about him, describing why they don't like DSP anymore, and he would go on to say that they're just joining a bandwagon against him.
What I want to address are these people who are coming out and they're saying, well, I used to watch DSP, but then this particular situation happened.
Right, and there's loads in this. I'm going to go back to Down the Rabbit Hole, because hopefully we can just, skim through it, because I don't want 3 hours.
Doing so, his videos were deprioritized by YouTube's search and recommendation functions, further reducing the visibility of his channel. Between July and September of 2015, Philip lost approximately 500,000 monthly views, which constituted 15% of his remaining viewership, a sharp downtick in his already dwindling revenue. Machinima, facing trouble after a number of publicized scandals and seeing Philip's viewership loss, renegotiated his contract again to pay him even less. To shore up his income, he announced yet another channel, this one called KO Gaming, which he launched on January 14th, 2016.
So, whatevs, it's all going down the shitter for him. Then he became famous. You could actually spend a lot more time going through his particular, rants.
And I could call my lawyer and I could say, that's it, we got to get these motherfuckers, put in 100 copyright claims right now.
Against trolls and, this constant thing. We could go through all that. I'm not going to. There's a bit here about Total Biscuit, so, R.I.P. Total Biscuit.
He created a habit where he would criticize other content creators, and he would name them specifically. One creator he had named specifically was Total Biscuit and used his name frequently. This would cause Total Biscuit to respond in a post. Here are some highlights of Total Biscuit's post. Total Biscuit would say he does not like seeing someone harassed online, but DSP brings it onto himself, especially with the King of Hate persona and being super negative.
So, other people are popular, Phil's not. He's moved house and all this bits and pieces. It's worth picking up on this John Rambo thing, because earlier in the story we heard that he had this friend who was part of his content creation journey. This friend, John Rambo. And it's good. Just get your face up, John Rambo. There's John Rambo. He's in that content from before. And what happened is Phil moved. They stopped talking to each other. They fell out. And the backstory is John Rambo and his other mate didn't really get paid the way they felt was fair from the whole project, and a bit of this, a bit of that, and Phil basically badmouthed them on the internet and said fuck them, and they didn't really deserve anything other than what they got, and that became a bit of a thing in his backstory now. Basically his friends have fucked him off, which is a bit sad. And then we're going to get to the main bit, really, aren't we? When you get to the main bit, Jesus, where's the bit? There's another hour and 12. No, another hour and I'm not doing all those hours. if you want to follow, you know, because this is what my point is. Look at all this Darksyde Phil content on this channel. Like, it's constant now. The thing is, Phil's consistently making content, and he's consistently being himself. So there's consistently a detractor community making this content about him now. I don't want to make it forever. What I want to do is get Steve in. I've shown you where these bullet points are. Let's see him jerk off, because this is a massive part of it, isn't it? I don't want to watch him jerk off, but we don't have to watch him jerking off. So what he did was he left his camera on, and he didn't know the camera was on. Look. So just before he starts his stream, you've got this card. Stream starting soon. There he is in the camera. He doesn't know it's on. He's just ready to start streaming. And unfortunately for him, captured, and, you know, captured for it was live on the internet, him jerking off. And at the end, he's like, oh, was the camera on? Oh shit, was the camera on?
What is up, everyone? Hello, hello, and welcome. Oh, the camera's on.
Oh, the camera's on.
The camera's been on the whole time, huh? I don't even know.
So that became a big thing. You know, big Phil meme. Dude jerked off on his stream. You know, yeah. And then there's another thing I want to light on as well, which is Snort Burnell. Now, Phil's called Phil Burnell, and this channel's called Snort Burnell, and it's one of the big detractor channels, and it kind of sums up what Phil, you know, all the things that we talk about, that all that past stuff has become this character and this consistency. So look at all these videos on here, fucking hell. Every time Phil does a stream, Snort Burnell uploads it and, you know, edits it a little bit and uploads it and shows you what a chuffer he is. And it's like consistent. And one of the things that happens is this. We're gonna have to talk a final couple of things. We're gonna have to talk snorting and nose business, and we're gonna have to talk WWE champions. Okay, I mean, I've missed out great big chunks, like his relationship with his wife, his relationship with his friends. I lighted on a bit, but, you know, great big chunks. Imagine this guy's a chuffer in all of it. Been a big chuffer all the time, hasn't he? But, like, so this intro features all this snorting. In a minute.
What the fuck? Dude, and I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Alright.
So, like, he's all snorting. You hear that noise of him snorting? Like,
yes, the money that you contribute to my streams supports my pets. That is correct.
And look, every stream, this is just edited. This is like, you know, September the 1st. This is edited from the other day.
Now, tonight, the cat is tipping again. The cat also did a Wings reference. So, not to put the cat on the spot, but the cat, I just want to make sure you're legitimately here to chill, you're supporting my streams. You're not going to try to charge any of this back, right? I just want to clear that up front, because you understand that there's no refunds. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, this...
Oh, he's still Phil being Phil all the time, yeah? And so, this... dog barking now. Like, this constant behaviour from him pulls this constant response from these detractors. And this snorting thing, I want to pick that up, right? So, where am I going now? DSP Gaming. This is a great example of it for me.
Welcome to Multiverses.
I don't know about this shit, right?
Opportunity to really play it this week, which is unfortunate because as you guys... Your game, we're already almost through 3 of the 5 cities that the whole game entails, and we're only 6 hours in, so it may end up being a shorter playthrough.
So he's messing with his nose there. Phil says that he's got a problem.
Kevin, he says, hope you're having
a problem with his nose, like post-nasal drip, and that causes him to constantly have to snort. That's the reason why he can't wear headphones. He has to wear this thing around his head, which provides the audio instead of headphones, because he gets ear infections if he wears headphones, and he's got like this ear, nose, and throat problem. Now, I don't know, you know, I don't know about post-nasal drips and ear, nose, and throat problems and snorting sounds. Like, I don't know about it. Like, that could be a legitimate thing that he legitimately has. But he's already explained to us before about how he doesn't want to have that headset on. How he likes having the surround sound, and, you know, at a compromise, he's willing to wear this thing around his neck that provides... I think that's like a set of headphones that you don't have on your ears, do you know what I mean? That provides sound. I think that's what that is. I might be wrong. And... and he has this problem with his nose, like sniffing and snorting all the time. And in this particular moment in this stream, he tells us he needs to go and blow his nose for this problem.
Tip and everything on the leaderboard after this match. This is the end of the set here. Okay. Oh, seriously? We don't get a... Good for a start, right? Had a little bit of an eye irritation. Really quick, let me just blow my nose quickly. Right there, I had a little bit of an eye irritation, and sadly made my sinuses mess up for a bit, so just give me a second to blow. I'll be right back, and then we'll start. Again, we get another match going.
So he's got a problem with his sinuses. I can't turn this up any louder than it already goes, but when I listen to him off camera dealing with his blowing of his nose, like if I just quickly blow my nose, because I have got a nose like everyone else. This is me blowing my nose. Like, it makes a bit of a trumpet toot, doesn't it? It's me blowing my nose, that was. That's the reality. And he's back. So, you know, that's captured here on... You can listen to that back yourself. You know, it's captured here. Is it him sniffing or is he blowing his nose? Some people, like, might have accused him of doing... I certainly... Okay, I'll tell you this. I certainly have thought he displays the characteristics of someone who is doing cocaine. However, I've never seen him do cocaine or talk about cocaine. In fact, later on in this stream, someone asks him... And I should have the exact moment lined up. Someone asks him... Are you doing cocaine? Or have you ever done any drugs? And his response is, oh, I just stick pixie sticks up my nose and snort them, which is also what he says about something else. Hang on, I actually should have this lined up. I'll have to do this for another. If I really want to do it, I'll have to do it myself properly with, you know, timestamps. But that's him sniffing off camera. Has he got a nasal drip problem? Or has he got a cocaine problem? I don't know. I'm not saying he has got a cocaine problem. I'm saying that sometimes it seems like he has, and he tells us that instead of it being a cocaine problem or anything like that, it's his post-nasal, and that's why he consistently snorting and making these noises. That's not actually nice to listen to on a stream, but, you know, if it's a disability, then I can't critique it, can I? It seems a pretty consistent theme of his... like his detractor is called Snort Burnell. Like, they make detractions about it. So if it's a disability, it's a harsh thing to be detracting about. So I don't know about that. You know, I'm not happy about that as a detraction if it's a disability. If it's just because he's like snorting a load of cocaine, like, then it's something you can detract for. So I don't know the answers to that. However, what I wanted to show you, and I don't know if I will be able to show you, is, like I said, here he's accused, or someone asks him if he'd ever done any drugs. He goes, oh yeah, and the reason I've got this nose problem is I stick fucking pixie sticks up my nose and snort them, like, as if it's ridiculous that he might snort drugs. Yeah, ridiculous. Now, there's another aspect to his story that we haven't covered, but at the end of here, you'll hear a catchphrase that... Oh no, that's his actual stream, isn't it? Sorry, I thought we'd hear the catchphrase on his actual stream. At the end of Snort Burnell's broadcasts... Thank you. There's this little...
Indoctrinated children who send him money on. I just care about money. There's still this back here. And it's still in the back of my neck, the back of my head, the back of my mind, and it's always telling me it's WWE Champions time.
It's WWE Champions time. So what happened was... Darksyde, Phil, the WWE champions. What's happened, and this is like just, I'm tacking this on the end, but it's quite a big thing, isn't it? He was caught with this mobile game on his phone. Like, oh my god, what? That sounds terrible. There it is, look, there's the picture on his phone, there's the mobile game. Terrible. Well, a few years ago, they got on his bank account and got his bank statements. Darksyde Phil has not just been caught playing that game on his phone, but his bank statements were leaked. Like, everyone knows all of his spending on his bank thing, and one of the things he was spending on all the time was a mobile game called, I mean, I'm putting two and two together, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the things he was spending on all the time were iTunes currency. Maybe it doesn't go direct to the, maybe you can't see it on the list as WWE channel, or maybe you can, whatever. The point is, he's on this mobile game. The mobile game is a gacha game, and he's pumping money into this mobile gacha game, into these loot boxes, and it's not silly money. It's like $8,000. Look, it's like lots of money. Like over the course of time playing it, maybe hundreds of, maybe thousands and thousands of pounds. So it's an issue because he's constantly grifting to his audience that, oh no, I'm poor and I can't afford this, and if I could only just get a bit further on the tip in and we could get that, and then he's taking that money and he's spending it on WWE champions. So that's an issue. Like, to the detractors it is. I mean, I think it's an ethical issue. Like, it's a fucking giant ethical issue. But like, if you tip me money and I tell you I'm buying a computer, and then I don't buy a computer and I go and buy WWE champions or something, that's bad ethically, yeah? But you can't get your money back. Like, you tip the streamers because you tip the streamers, and what they spend their money on, they choose to spend their money on. That's kind of like the deal there. I get that as well. However, you shouldn't really then, like, you should know what's going on, shouldn't you? Like, ethically, you should know what they're doing with the money, and then you should choose where you give it. But isn't that, I've lost my calm, relaxing music. It's finished, that's why. Isn't that like the kind of thing in life? Isn't that life? Now, it's an interesting thing, because I would be full on the side of, don't give Phil any money for a start. Definitely that, because he's grifting you. I'm out here calling out the grifters 100%. But on the other side of the coin, this is something I want to discuss with Steve, is that, like, isn't that what fucking Coca-Cola are doing to me? Like, I bought their drink here. Isn't this like 10p's worth of drink, 5p's worth of drink, and the rest of the pound a can is just all bullshit? Isn't that society? Don't the companies in society tell me like a load of bollocks just to get me to give me the money, give them my money? Advertising is just like a load of bollocks so that I hand over my money, which is the worst psychological damage, like the manipulation of a big advertising company or a small one-man band. But I think, isn't Phil doing the same thing? Isn't he a one-man like self-marketing team who is just trying to get a certain amount of money in every day through marketing? And where are the lines drawn? Of course, I know what my answers are ethically, which is that this is unacceptable and we should be calling this out, because legitimate business doesn't require like, an actual grift, an actual like black. Like, it's the difference between someone actually putting your double glazing in and someone telling you they're going to put your double glazing in, putting single glazing in, and fucking, it's like a grift, isn't it? It's a blag. So I'm calling out the blags. I know where I stand on that, but I would like to talk about that subject with Steve as well, which is the aspect that Phil is a bad person doing a bad thing on the internet, but he's not out there, robbing old ladies, or like maybe some of the people in his chat are vulnerable and he's coercing vulnerable people through the internet. Maybe that, maybe it is terrible and bad ethics. Maybe that's TikTok. Maybe there's a lot of people doing that on TikTok. Who's the worst one? Why is this one the worst one? Because he's easier to spot? Is PewDiePie equally guilty of this or not? Like, when people, not PewDiePie is a bad example because I don't know anything about him, but surely there are other, more popular streamers who have coerced their audiences to giving them money in other ways that are equally, illegitimate, or at least ethically bereft. And again, isn't that our society? Maybe Phil's learned funny lessons. Maybe Phil sees it in a funny way and reflects it in a funny way. But isn't that our society? Like, isn't Phil just out there dog eat dog, making a buck? Got to let him have it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Personally, ethically, I think no, it's not acceptable. But if it's not against the law and it's just distasteful, who am I to decide what another human should do? Like, I'm really angry at Vladimir Putin, bear in mind. I'm really angry at like some of these bad things in the world. Where does Phil sit on that scale of bad? And why? To me, I will say this outwardly, even though it's going to go against the grain a little bit, because I'm sort of with the detractor community in many aspects, aren't I? I think that of him as an abhorrent person who's doing bad things, and calling him out on it is a good thing, right? But like, who am I to, like, when you look at the amount of content that's being made about him and the amount of time being spent on him, and where does he sit on that scale of good and bad? I find it interesting that, like, is this a bit out of balance? Does he deserve some sympathy for all the years of trolling? Has that turned him into the person he is? Would killing... Sometimes they talk about killing a troll with love. Like, would being kind to him and being nice to him and then also suggesting change work in any way? Or is that a personality type that's against it because it's Phil? Like, you know, I'd like to find out some psychology of that and maybe dig into some of the psychology of detraction and talking about down a rabbit hole, because this is down the rabbit hole. This is where it starts on Phil, down the rabbit hole. At the end of the rabbit hole, for me, sometimes I get to different, you know, rabbits make lots of different holes, don't they? And it goes in lots of different places. Sometimes for me, I get to a different end, Warren. I poke my head out into a different bright light, hopefully a nice light, you know, somewhere nice. And for me, it might end up as, how do we more effectively detract? Like, how do we more effectively reach? Because if these detractors are here to reach the audience and call Phil out, maybe they're doing a good job on that, and maybe that's fine. But if maybe they want to reach Phil or create a change in Phil, maybe it's not working, because it's been going on now for a while, and maybe it's not working. Maybe he sees it all as just internet hate. One interesting video that was made was Sam editing. Was it Sam? See, there's so much content I can't even find the video that I was looking for. One of the detractors made a video explaining to ostensibly to Phil how to make his media better, how to edit his videos better, how to put his camera in a better position. And like, that video I thought was really interesting, because it was like, not obviously it was a negative, net negative for Phil. It was like taking the piss out of him. It was using him as a focus study on how not to stream, but at the same time Phil could learn a lot from it. And if you made a video that said, "Hi Phil, I understand you're going through a lot of shit, and like sometimes you seem to be, you know, like the sort of person that I would put in that chuffer box. I'd like mark you chuffer, write chuffer, and stick you in that box, and you'd be gone to me. And you've done a lot of things that over the years have been quite fucking, you know, chuffing abhorrent with the old slurs and, you know, arrogance and grifting and all that. But, you know, if you wanted to come around to not being a chuffer, then me being mean to you isn't going to help. So here's some top tips on how not to be a chuffer. And like, you might think about these, like, not as me telling you what a chuffer you are, but as like little stories where we've all been chuffers at some point, and, you know, you could maybe come around to not being such a chuffer. Like, you know, not like when someone points out your personality flaws, you're going to go, "Oh, fuck you, I'm not like that, fuck you, oh, I hate you." You know, this whole King of Hate thing has started from that, from all this ripping on each other, being mean to each other. Put up a wall against that, fuck you off. Like, if we actually want the man to change, or to inspire some, you know, redemption. There's another final question that I wanted to ask is, can Phil have a redemption arc? Is there redemption available to this man? I believe that his persistence on YouTube and the fact that he's still doing his streams, and he reacted even to his own down the rabbit hole. Like, he reacted to his own, all that detractor content I've just shown you. Here he is reacting to his own detractor content, like reacting to. So that's an interesting concept, isn't it? And it only works, right? This only works because he's learned enough to know, not has become accepting of it, over it, able to laugh along with it, or, you know, put his hands up and say, "Well, you got me there. You know what? I've learned from that, and I've moved forward." He wants to give the impression that he has. He knows that he's now read an article on Google, because now the articles are out there. Remember I said before, like, obviously Phil is looking to learn how to deal with the trolls, and he's not dealt with the trolls correctly in the past, but now there's a toolkit on how to deal with the trolls. So now he's read these articles, and they've said, reflect on these things and say, "No, I was wrong." And you get a lot of, even if you did something bad, because remember, we're in a world of like Epstein's and all this shit, yeah? Like, even if you did something bad, and I'm not saying Epstein did, I'm not saying he could get out of it, but there are people that do the bad things. I mean, look at Donald Trump, for example, grab her right by the pussy. There are people that do the bad things, and I mean, actually, he's a bad example, isn't he? Because he just carried on even though. But, and if you say, "Look, fuck it, I said it, but it's not such a bad thing. I'm sorry. I don't even care, I'm sorry, you know, whatever, let's move on, is different from, oh no, fucking you were wrong to think I was bad for saying it, and who are you, and you're fucking this. If you, like, if someone says, hey, how are you did this, and you go, you know what, fair play. I know I've had it in comments recently, or not recently, or whatever, besides the trolling that I've had in the past, where someone says a legitimate thing, and my response is, yeah, good point, well made, you know, I'll address that in another video, or I was wrong to think that, thanks for clearing it up for me, I'll think differently in the future. And I, you know, accept it where you might be at fault, or not an argument and at fault, but, you know, just learn from stuff. People like it if you make a mistake and you're willing to say, I made a mistake, and learn from it. They will actually give you a second chance. They will. It's called redemption, and there is a redemption arc on YouTube for many people, and in the wider context of society for many people, if they're prepared to acknowledge their previous ignorance. So Phil has learned that, he's read it, he's understood that is a good technique, and now he's trying to employ this technique to gain redemption. And I don't think it works, because I don't think he actually believes it. I think he's just doing what, you know, if you do this on the internet, people will like you. Oh, will they? Will they? All right, I'll try that. All right. So I believe that's the case here. But again, I'd like to dig into that with Steve about redemption and Phil, whether he can be redeemed, and whether we as a community should be offering him the road to redemption in tutorial form, or just continuing to detract. So we've got a lot of things to cover there, and I'm glad that I haven't. I mean, hopefully, if you want to go down the Phil rabbit hole and find out why he's such a chuffer, you know, there's enough content out there already about him being a chuffer. So that's all there for you. You know, enjoy it, don't, whatever. For me, I've set up the premise now, and what I want to do next is get Steve on. So that being said, this is a podcast where they talk about him. Steve of the Dead. Been on that podcast, and he's got his own channel here. And so now, coming all the way back around to the start of what I was saying, it now makes more sense why Steve has done like an hour and 40-minute psychoanalysis of one of his Darksyde Phil streams, and the repeated theme of these whales, because people contribute to Darksyde Phil and they're called whales if they pay a lot of money, and you know, these supporters of him. So now we're talking about the social psychology. Before, look, I still want to talk to Steve about social psychology of constructionism, or are video games addictive? Absolutely. But see how he's done all this content about Phil, because, like, you know, he's got an ethical and psychological perspective on it, which I find really valid. I want to talk all these ideas through that we've just talked about. I should have timestamped the video. I'll have to watch it back through now and timestamp it, or if you're watching, please timestamp it every time I've said this is a question for Steve. You know, not just the same questions as everyone else. Why is Phil a bad chuffer? Isn't he a bad chuffer? But, you know, these bigger lessons that can we learn and can we draw out? Some of the lessons about deficiencies, human deficiencies. Initially it was Phil and his response to negativity and his wanting to be this king of hate figure. Then it was this rise to fame, perceived fame, and what you should do in order to work for it. And, you know, should I be able to sit on my couch and not even have the capture card or the headset because I don't fucking want to, and fuck you. There was that. Then there's this negativity that comes his way online. You know, transphobia that he represents because he's done it. You know, we can discuss these sort of things, what it's like to exist online in these spaces. And this wider question at the end that I'd like to ask about, you know, if we can learn from it, if we can go somewhere with it, if there is a redemption arc, or, you know, should there be in society. You know, we're not punishing Phil for his crimes because he's not committed any actual legitimate crimes that are punishable or enforceable with prison sentences, I don't think. Yeah, but like, we're sort of putting him through this public forum court, and he is being judged through these mechanisms. And it's interesting to me that the final punishment of that mechanism would probably be cancellation, but some people seem immune to it. Like, this would open out into a wider context about politics, but some people seem immune to it. And like, is cancellation an effective? It might be an effective deterrent, but is it an effective treatment? And can we form some sort of effective treatment for? Like, ultimately, I'm forming my ideas here, talking on this, and you in chat and stuff, you know. The idea as well that, like, you know, we send people to prison, Like, this is like, imagine we've done 3 streams about Phil, and now I want to start talking to Steve about something a bit bigger, because I've got these bigger ideas. This is what I'm trying to set up here for our September coming up, is like, let's say we send someone to prison, and then how do we fix, like, Phil's a human being, and he represents something that we see as a negative. Like, he's got these funny ideas in his head, he's behaving in this way, and as society, are we able to iron out these creases, or do we make things worse? You know, I'm not saying him as an individual, Phil now, you know, certainly some of the things he said negatively against people make me have less sympathy for him, but as humanity in general, you know, can we create mechanisms that help people to be better? Or are some people just going to, you know, always be bad? That's another question, isn't it? So these are good questions now. Now we can start to ask some really good questions, and we don't have to be part of like a gang of bullies. Not that like detracting is a gang of bullies, although on that spectrum it could be perceived by the person being detracted against that it is. So I'd like to ask those questions as well. Kiwi farms I'd like to look at, which I don't know if I can, because like, I haven't gone on it myself, but you know, it exists, and from what I've seen in the news, it's fucking bad news. Like, the Australian internet law could take the site offline. Like, I don't want to show you an internet site here that's going to get me taken offline, but from what I've heard, see, that's the news. From what I heard through the Darksyde Phil community, is it's a place like a forum of any other sort where they collect information and talk about Darksyde Phil. So it doesn't sound like that bad to me. Like, both sides of the coin here. So these are questions, these are the conversations that hopefully, because I've contacted Steve, I've got the green light, go ahead. The things we have to do to get it sorted out, I have to pull my fucking finger out and get him on the stream. I've got to use Discord and learn how to, like, today I've had a step back instead of a step forward because my stream deck is now not working, and none of my obs have just upgraded obs, so none of my plugins work now. But I've got to overcome technical issues, which are minor, get Steve himself on stream, 2 of us together sat down talking, kind of major to, like, you know, for me, being social, organising something, I'll be honest, difficult. Like, difficult. It shouldn't be easy. It should be easy. Steve's really nice and we're both open to this good idea, but, you know, and also next week I'm not even here. I've got to be in the fucking Airbnb with my family, which is good. I'm going to enjoy it, but it stresses me out. So I'm going to be working off a laptop. So hopefully at some point in September, me and Steve start talking about psychology on the basis that Darksyde Phil is our content catalyst. We've got these important questions to answer, and we then go on after September into December, January, February, maybe even consistently into the future. Don't know where it will go, but we could talk about a lot of other stuff because Steve knows about a lot of other stuff, and I'm questions. I'm all questions. I'm all ears, I'm all questions. So I like this sort of stuff. Good questions, that's what we're going to do. So we've covered that now in a 3.5 hour episode. I'm glad we covered it. If you've got any problems, put it in the comments below. If you're Darksyde Phil and you're thinking, oh god, I just got a pain under my eye there, that was weird. It's got like a headachy feeling there under my eye. I've never had that before. Ooh, maybe it's these lights. You know, maybe I looked into the lights then by mistake. Or maybe that's my sinuses. Maybe I've caught Phil's snorty thing off the internet. Maybe I've been snorting cocaine. I wouldn't be able to do a stream if I'd snorted cocaine because I'd go a bit excessive and I'd probably do quite a lot and then... oh no, I'm not saying I'm snorting lots of cocaine. I'm saying when I... not that I do. I'm saying in general in life, I go to excess. So I'm pretty sure if you gave me like a little bag of it, I would do it. And then I go, oh, that was quite moreish. Have you got any more of that? And they'd say, well, you'd have to pay more money. I'd say, well, money's no object, my good man. Fetch me some more. I've got on my shirt, you know. I've had bits on my shirt. That's why I blew my nose, isn't it? Fetch me some more, my good man. Money's no object. Are you sure it's no object? Well, I'm quite high on cocaine at the moment, so I imagine it's not. Just don't send me the bill the next morning when I'm sober, eh? Anyway. Like, fetch me some more, my good man. And then, like, you know, I'd be all like high as a box, and then I'd switch on the stream and I'd be like, oh, yeah, and you'd think, oh, he's definitely high as a box. Like, there'd be no middle ground with me. It wouldn't be like I do a little bit, oh, that's perked me up, I'll go on stream. It would be like I'm fucking boxed. And you'd know about it. A funny story that I couldn't tell possibly on the internet was when I was younger, and one of my friends said to me, "Have you seen this?" And I said, "What's that?" And they told me what it was. It was drugs, right? And I hadn't had it before, so I went like that. I licked my finger, I dipped it in it, and I licked it, and then that's loads of it. You're not supposed to lick it and dip your finger in. That's loads of it. What have you done? And I was like, well, you'd better do the same now, because otherwise I'm going to be the only one. So he licked his finger and dipped it in it, and then we went for a drive. Anyway, they're funny stories. Wouldn't have really happened. Funny stories. Anyway, look. The point is that we can get Steve on. We can talk about these things. We've done the background for Darksyde, Phil. I've forgotten what I was even saying now. So I'm going to get off stream. I don't know what the time is. It's nearly... I want to come back with Genshin Impact this evening. I want to play Genshin Impact on stream this evening. I need to maintain that. I think I've covered this. I don't think there's anything else I need to say, is there? Unless I wanted to say, put it in the comments below. Make sure you get it in the comments. Questions for Steve. Questions regarding Phil. Any questions regarding... Because, well, I'll tell you what we want to do. I want to do a live stream, but I don't... you're going to be like today. You can say what you want in chat. It will go on the screen. But I'm not... I've got things to say that I need to get... If I'd stopped for every comment in chat, this would have taken 7 hours. So I apologise. It's been on the screen. It's there recorded in posterity. You can talk about it in the comments as well. You talk together in chat, that's fine. You know, no problems there. But again, we'll take some questions for Steve in the podcast, but I've got my questions. I don't want to create these little episodes. So one might be on narcissism. It might be on that. I can't say it. We'll have to get Steve to say it. Like, one might be on that, you know, Phil and narcissism, or how we can use Phil to illustrate narcissism and what it means for Phil and what it means in the wider sense. The first few episodes might be Phil based while we get our feet on the ground, and then, you know, we can move on, can't we, into other... So if you've got questions, put them in the comments. I will bring them up on stream, but I can't have it where, like, live on stream, Steve is saying something and I'm having to go through the comments and write down the best ones and ask him that, you know, I'll use them for the next episode, won't I? I don't want to derail necessarily the flow of conversation that we have with every comment on a live stream. However, I will accept that in the future, if we have paid ones, that they have to come up and be addressed. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Get your questions in now, and I'll have them prepared, rather than on the fly I get confused and there's lots of shit going on. You see what I'm saying? Just take it step by step. So that's my plan for the next step on our stream. If we can get Steve on as a regular guest, we can talk psychology and social issues on a regular footing. I'm not saying regular yet. I'm saying just let's get him on in September for a couple of times and get going with it. Also, I must say this. I don't have to say. I'm not talking about personal issues, but I'm going to intend to pay Steve and any guest that I get on. Most people on the internet probably don't at our end of the scale, but at the big end of the scale, everyone does. So I don't know where I sit. I don't know if True Geordie pays their guests. True by Norman ASMR, who was first with that? It was me. I don't know who pays their guests how much, but you know, I'm going to try and fish into my pocket to support the content, and that must include paying the content. Like, I want to say creator, but I mean like, Steve is going to come on to my stream to help make our content. Yeah. So what's he going to get out of it? Well, I'm going to fucking pay him, obviously. Like, if in the future we can get enough views and a thing going, maybe I could offer him money from the AdSense, or, you know, maybe he'd want that, maybe he wouldn't, whatever. The bottom line is, I'm not expecting something for nothing here, so I'm going to work at it, and I'm respecting the people that we're going to invite on, and I want Steve to be one of them, and I'd quite like it, you know, talking about everything that we talked about with Phil, talking about all that, I'd quite like it if I could take another step. So at the moment, our stream, and this is, you know, just me talking about content now when I said it's not even content, didn't I? But just letting you know, just letting you know. So our channel, our stream this is the live stream archive. Everything we do live on Twitch, we upload here. Mainly everything that can be uploaded. And there's a lot of Genshin Impact for that reason at the moment. But also episodes like this and the Tartaria one. So I want to make sure that we consistently have this variety going on, yeah? That's building up on this stream channel. So we're getting 240 subscribers now. That number's always going up. Hit 500, hit community things, hit 1,000, hit monetization. We're on the way. As part of that step up, I don't want, like, if you look at what I've been doing on stream and you take a video from a month ago, in a year's time, if I'm still doing the same videos in a year's time, then I've made a mistake. You know, remember what we said about Darksyde Phil refusing to keep moving? Like, I need to invest my energy and my money and whatever into making this a continual push forward. That documentary that is a draft that's on there, like, in years to come, hopefully we can get back up to speed with making content like this. Obviously, a documentary takes a bit longer and a bit more money, and you won't see me here live on stream as much. So in the future, it needs a bit more of a team, maybe. They're big steps, longer steps. Give it some time. But what I am saying is that now what we can start to push towards is maybe I have someone sat in this room with me, maybe I have them sat on the screen with me, and maybe we're talking through some psychology. Before the end of the year, we should finally have got to, which was one of our big goals on this stream, you know, interviews, podcasty style conversations. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but it's another step forward, isn't it? So I was telling us about the first time snorting coke off the lady's boobs. I never snorted any coke off a lady's boobs. I would have always, because I have taken all the different narcotics, I will admit that. But back when I did used to take different narcotics, I would have seen that as a huge waste. Because some of it's going to get spilled, some of it's going to go somewhere. That's a waste of the narcotics. That's what I would have said. Stop moving your boobs. Anyway, yeah, so the stream is going to take a step up. Like, you know, I would have a shave for these episodes. The stream is going to take another step forward in terms of content quality, content creation, something that's available on the rotating carousel of content. I will continue to stream Genshin Impact. I'm going to continue to do Tartarias and Reacts and Truth of Homeschools. I'm going to continue to be a streamer, but I want to add in what you would call another element of the media product. That makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense. I'm glad that makes sense the way I'm saying it, because it feels like it makes sense. So that's my point, is unlike Phil, not critiquing Phil here, but saying, like, we're using him as an example, so I need to set the other example down. We're pushing forwards. That's the key, and we have done massively. If you go to sort by oldest, like, this is my first stream or second stream, and it was January 2021. So starting in January was a good idea, because it's an easy way to, you know, to time it. It won't even work. Look, it won't even fucking work. So that's how good it was. Doesn't even work. Can't even watch it. What's going on? There you go. I'm playing Hearthstone. Look at the quality of the camera. Give your I still haven't had a shave. Hero attack. So do we want that? I mean, the microphone sounds awful. Next week it's going to go back to sounding awful because I need to use the cheap microphone while I'm away. But look, I've got a terrible camera. The computer's my old Mac. I'm playing Hearthstone. The chat is on this black box, and we've improved this stream in the time. So, like, not just like the quality of the things I'm doing, which has improved, but the quality of my ability to do them, like the media product. We actually did test Zoom there. I didn't like Zoom. I wasn't a big fan of Zoom, but we have tested it a year ago, and I couldn't really work it. And we did an interview with a game developer. So I did do, like, these things that, you know, I said I wanted to do. Where's the interview with the game developer? You see, you know, I need to find these things. But over this course of this year and 2 years it's coming up to, isn't it? Probably, I would say 6 months ago. No, so it's a year and a bit, isn't it? Coming up on our second year, maybe. I don't know. We've actually refined our quality of media production. We moved into a different room. I've got a proper a proper camera running into an Elgato capture card into a proper computer. Like, certain things you don't see that have really improved what I'm actually doing, like, really massively, come on leaps and bounds. My ability to do it, the fact it always works, we're not having problems with the kilobytes all the time. Now I'm plugged in the wall. Like, lots of little things that add up to moving forward. And the big things, the content itself, that's changed and moved as well. We've got more consistent and more solid on something like Genshin Impact, which not everyone here watching this will like Genshin Impact, but it's good for the stream because it's consistency with a certain community that do enjoy it, and I'm part of it because I enjoy it. So we've got that, and we're doing this other stuff as well that we continue to do. I'm really pleased with how far we've come. So what I have to say to myself, or I don't have to, but what I do is, that's the journey from 1 year ago to now, right? So what I need to do is make sure that what I'm looking at here, because I can see ways to improve what I'm looking at now. I can see ways to improve it. What I'm looking at, and it's not just improve my stream, get a better camera. It's think about what I was saying about Phil doing it in his kitchen and like taking things for granted where maybe you shouldn't. You know, trying to step forward. I would love. We need to take these are bigger dreams, right? But in this next year, I'd like to get to monetization. Monetization means that I can get an editor or somebody else on the team and say to them, I can't pay you any money, but if you work hard and do a good job on your job, the money will come in. So have half of it and do a good job. Here's the channel, here's Ganji Cuts, like channels like Ganji Cuts, which I'm doing on my own free time, my own edits for my own, get that up run, get that, you know, monetized, and then hand it over to an editor who can watch our videos and edit them and do like, that's a team thing then, isn't it? And when we've got a team, then we can do more. And then you look, I see people that I admire on the internet doing more. I could roam around Shakespeare's, I could do exactly that. I've got a story about a tree that Shakespeare used to go and have sex under. I'm pretty sure I know the story. Anyway, we could do that sort of stuff, you know. We could go around doing other things. Yeah, we need a team. That's not next year. At the end of next year, we don't have a fucking Jake Paul team around me. But what I'm saying is, steps forward. By the end of next year, we've got a consistent, regular, what you would call a podcasty sort of thing. You know, sort of thing. We've got some, it's not just me sitting here saying it's good. We're doing content. It's actual content. All the other stuff I'm doing is content as well. Of course, thank you. Thank you. But you know what I'm saying? We're moving forwards. So hopefully this September, October, you know, leading into the end of the year, we see that difference. I can't keep saying it. I have to make sure I'm doing it. But these are my goals. You know, God is my witness. I've actually got more Genshin Impact to upload from last week, which is on a backlog because of a copyright issue. So yeah, I need to get off now, eat a bit of food, and get back on stream for a bit, don't I really? For a bit, play a bit of Genshin, chill out, and then hopefully next week I get in constant contact with Steve, or at least, you know, have a bit more contact with him, and then maybe by the end of next week we've got him on a stream talking about some of these things. He can watch this video, and those times I've said this is a marker for Steve, he can get his notes together, and we can go through, chew the fat. If you type a whole sentence, your streaming censorship stops it, so you split it up and it goes through. That's fucked up, man. Obviously I'm not doing that, but if that's how it works, I'm actually pleased, because it looks like I get lots more chat messages and chat keeps moving. So you keep doing it. Do it word by fucking word if you have to. I don't censor it. It's the, yeah, thanks, the algos, yeah. I can't, you know, we do have a problem on this channel, like I said. I think we get black marked from, I've been a chuffer. I made a video. The first time I saw that YouTube video saying, homogenize your content, this is how you do it, I reacted to it and made a video saying, YouTube are trying to fucking turn my audience into money pigs. YouTube told me, right, they said, mobilize your audience to create a steady stream of income. And I'm like, what? They're like, if you make merchandise and this and that. And I'm like, I thought I'd watch this video, how to be a creator. I thought you were going to teach me how to like make better videos. And you're like, why aren't you linking in t-shirt sales? And I'm like, fuck off, man. So I made a video that was like, I know YouTube and they're chuffing shit. And then that got like problems. And then I took it down eventually because I just thought it's causing me problems. But I think since that day, and once as well, I didn't get my YouTube was only a small like $10 a month. I've never been a big, even though I had 20,000 subs, like $10 a month or whatever. Because when I turned on monetization eventually to see what the difference was, because they were putting adverts on my videos anyway. I got these $10 a month, and I sent them an email as if to say, like, where's my fucking $10 a month, you cunts? And they were like, you don't just get $10 a month in your bank, you have to save it up until you've got 50, and then we pay you, you idiot. And I was like, oh, right, fuck you then, yeah, thanks. So their contact with me has been me being cantankerous over $10, and they probably think I'm a right dick, so they fucked me off. They fucked me off. Oh, you've been fixing a lawnmower. How's it all going? Yeah, it's all good. We're just coming to the end of a long chat about Darksyde Phil, and we are going to continue it in the future with Steve of the Dead. That's the general theme. That's the general theme. So you have to rewind this and watch it later in 10-minute segments when I upload it in little 10-minute segments, which obviously I'm not going to do, because it's much better to have this long stream available on YouTube for people to sit down and chill with. It does a lot better. It does a lot better in the modern age. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Although editing for a more convenient consumption is also good for a slightly different audience. So what you want to do is get an editor and do that. Yeah. Oh, there's so much work to it these days. I'm off to play WWE Champions. I hope the lawnmower's working now. You do want to watch fixing a lawnmower, because one of the worst things about it is you're going to want to see that blade spin. You're going to want to see the spinning blade. I've got a quick story about a lawnmower before I get off then. My Stream Deck doesn't allow me to press close up anymore though, because as soon as I got that working, they took it away from me. Whose fucking idea was that? Let's upgrade OBS so now you can't use anything. Why would you do that, OBS? We're gonna update OBS. Oh, do you want me to update OBS? Yes, go on then, thanks. Oh, by the way, nothing's going to work with it. Why didn't you tell me first? Why are you updating it, OBS, so that it doesn't work? That's not a good update. If anything, make it work with everything and then update it, you fucking idiots. Anyway, when I was a kid, my granddad was out the back doing the mowing in the garden, and then the mower stopped. It was one of those mechanical ones with the pulley, you know, like that. It was like a proper, didn't have electrics. It was a petrol lawnmower, and like going at that, and he couldn't get that going. Then my uncle was going at it. My uncle Claude, he was going my great uncle, and like they're both doing that. And I thought, this sounds like a lot of fun, to be fair. Like that chugga noise, like motorbike sounds. I'm only like 9 years old. I think I was 9, and I'm out there, and I'm like, oh, can I have a go? Can I have a go? Now, fair enough, go on then. You have a go, thinking he's not going to get this going. And I went chugga, and I didn't get it going, but. When my finger came in contact with the lawnmower, the engine was red fucking hot, and it burned my finger. Now, in front of my granddad, who was sweating away mowing the lawn, and my great uncle, who used to be a sailor, he had all these tattoos up his arms, I didn't want to seem like a little wussy. So I went, chugga, and I burned myself, and I went, oh, I can't do it. And then I had to go inside, and I didn't run. I couldn't run. I thought to myself, don't run. I had to walk inside really normally. No, I can't do it. And then I just walked inside like as if nothing was wrong. And when I got inside, I was like, my finger! But I didn't show them any weakness. I don't know why. I could have probably told them, my finger, but put it under the tap and I'd burned my finger. Didn't manage to fix the lawnmower, me. No, just burned my finger, ashamed of my own weakness, held in my emotions, even at the young, tender age of 9, when really I could have just gone, oh, my finger. Same with motorbikes as well. We went on a motorbike thing, again, young kid, and they had these little motorbikes going around a track, little mini bikes, and you go around a track. Would you like to have a go on this motorbike? Oh, yeah. And I jumped on it, and the petrol engine burned the inside of my leg, and I jumped straight off it. No, I don't. No, thanks. And they were like, no, you want to have a go on the motorbikes? It's all right. You go around the track, we'll get you a helmet. And I'm like, no, I don't fancy it anymore, no. And I wouldn't tell them why. I had this hurty leg. Like little part of my leg where it touched the engine, hurty as fuck. No, I don't want to do that. But I didn't cry or tell them. Just kept it in, held it in. So, cool story, bro. We're going to get Steve on to talk about psychology and social psychology, feelings and ideas, and about Darksyde Phil as our first. He's our first character study, and then after that, you're typing in the dark. Don't worry about it. We're coming to the end of the episode anyway. Type in the next one. If you've got any questions on a psychological front, though, if you've got any questions of a psychologist, we're going to use Phil as a content catalyst, this Darksyde Phil chap, because he's a bit of a content catalyst. You know, he does these things. He is displaying narcissistic tendencies on stream, and he is performing a grift of sorts that is socially distasteful and maybe ethically bereft. So maybe they get pulled up on it. We're going to talk it all through. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. I am now going to go. So it's coming up on 4 hours. I mean, what more do you want from me? Well, I'll tell you what more you want from me is Genshin Impact later on Twitch. So watch out for that. But you be good, my little podcast. You be good. And remember, if you can't be good, you're naughty.